However, he has filed an anticipatory bail under High Court case number HCCR, miscellaneous case E110/2025 at Milimani High Court. The matter is scheduled for directions on 30th March 2026. The Office of the Attorney General is handling the case. On return victims or returnees, they say 3 victims were rescued to Kenya: Mr. Vincent Odhiambo Awiti, Duncan Moogi, Stanley Mongai Kamau. From their statements, Russian bank accounts were opened in Moscow. They underwent 9 days of weapons and explosives training. Only 9 days. They were deployed to active war front areas. One Kenyan, Eric Korinko, was shot and unfortunately lost his life. Others remain injured or missing in Russia. The pending actions is 1, arrest of additional brokers and agents. 2 is collaboration with Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs to trace victims abroad. 3 is recording statement of mentally unstable returnees. 4 is completion of forensic analysis of the electronic devices that they have obtained court orders as indicated in the report by DCI. And 5 is receipt of the pending bank reports. The name of Simon Ndiema Kitereswa has not featured in their investigations, but analysis of documents and intelligence continues. I think this Mr. Ndiema is the one the member for Kilgoris had asked about. On the challenges that the DCI notes, he says 2 medical facilities, Inspo Care Medical Center and Universal Trends Medical and Diagnostic Center, obtained a High Court injunction restraining investigators from accessing victim medical records. Anticipatory bail application by Festus Omwamba is pending determination. The matter against Mr. Edward Kamau Gituku is active before Kahawa Law Courts and is scheduled for mention on the 19th of February 2026 for pre-trial conference and disclosure. And they conclude by saying investigations have established the existence of an organized transnational trafficking syndicate recruiting Kenyan citizens under false pretenses and deploying them to active conflict zones in Russia. While significant progress has been made, investigations remain active, particularly regarding the arrest of additional suspects, forensic analysis of digital evidence, rescue of victims already trafficked, resolution of legal barriers affecting evidence collection. Your continued support and interagency cooperation in this matter is highly encouraged and recommended. Honorable Speaker, if you listen to those 2 reports, both by the National Intelligence Service and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, clearly they seem to be on top of the game and have been able to track the agencies that are recruiting Kenyans. But notably, Honorable Speaker, is what they mentioned, that there has been collusion between officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the Directorate of Immigration Services, and the National Employment Authority. And I think, Honorable Speaker, what I would urge that you direct is 1, that the ministry is concerned, the Ministry of Interior, the Department of Immigration Services, must be able to pinpoint who are these particular officers and hold them to account. The same with DCI, they must be able to hold to account those officers who are colluding with criminals. Same with the National Employment Authority. And also, more telling is the collusion by officers at the Russian embassy and the Kenyan embassy in Moscow. Our ambassador in Moscow must be able to identify the officers within the embassy that may have colluded with these criminals to facilitate the travel of innocent Kenyans to be able to go and work in the front line in a battle area. And Honorable Speaker, government offices are not to be used for criminal activities. And therefore, our embassy must be beyond reproach. It must be the place where Kenyans in that country or anywhere in the vicinity can seek refuge. But it can't be a place that a few officers within the ministry facilitate criminals to lie to innocent Kenyans who may not know the circumstances that are there in Russia. Therefore, I would urge, Honorable Speaker, that we direct the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and the National Intelligence Service, as they have indicated, to identify the particular officers, whether it is at the Russian embassy, our embassy in Moscow, or at JKIA, or within the ministries of immigration, the State Department of Immigration and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and hold those particular officers to account. Because they have made other Kenyans lose lives, others suffer in a battlefront. And of course, the emotional turmoil that the families of these young men, and I presume they're all young men, young men who have gone to Russia are going through. And we watch them every day, Honorable Speaker, on national TV, families crying out. To Honorable Speaker, is to ask the State Department for Immigration to be more vigilant. Because you see, when JKIA is closely monitored, you hear now they have moving through South Africa, Uganda, and other neighboring countries. And that explains, Honorable Speaker, why you see a number of the victims, many of them are from the western part of Kenya, because of the proximity of the border to Uganda and the other countries on the west of our country, where they can now get through, even those who are going to South Africa, to be able to leave the country. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity to urge Kenyans. Please, the National Employment Authority portal or website details which agencies are licensed. Whenever anybody seeks to recruit you for Kazi Maju, confirm with the National Employment Authority website on their portal, or just place a call to them and confirm whether that is a legitimately licensed agency. Because if you are recruited by an agency that is licensed, then the NEA is able to follow up with that agency. But if you go to rogue agencies, then they will call you, they will take your money, as you've heard, Kenyans have lost their money, and they will take you to those battlefronts. But those that are legitimate under NEA will never take you to battlefronts. They will take you for legit jobs or legitimate jobs abroad, or what is called Kazi Maju. And I have seen the Cabinet Secretary for Labour, the Honorable Mutua, in many occasions explain to Kenyans how to go about getting Kazi Maju. And it is never through these rogue agencies. So please just go through the NEA portal and use those legitimate agencies as you look for jobs outside the country. Otherwise, many people will take advantage of you, and you may end up in those battlefronts, end up getting maimed, hospitalized, like those 39 who are said to be hospitalized in Russia, or even lose your life. And that will leave your family and many of us in this country with a lot of emotional turmoil. Honorable Speaker, with that, I submit, and I hope Kenyans have heard that it is only them that can assist these investigative agencies by also collaborating with them and adhering to the set rules and standards on recruitment under Kazi Maju. Don't go to rogue agencies. Don't confirm with the ministry, either of Foreign Affairs or the Ministry of Labour, whether the person recruiting you is licensed and whether the jobs that they are promising you are actual jobs. Because many of these young people have been promised security jobs. They are told you are going to work as a guard. They don't tell you are going to work in the military. And you assume as a guard, those ones of carrying a rungu, or just manning an entrance of a building. That's what they are promised. Only to get to those countries and you are taken to military camps. You've had, you only train for 3 weeks. The military, nobody in the military, no military in the world trains people for 3 weeks. You've had some have been trained for only 9 days. Yes. They are basically just giving you a gun to go and die. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader Haika.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While appreciating the report of the Majority Leader, Mr. Speaker, these are issues that come to our committee each and every day, Mr. Speaker. I have had a chance to sit with NEA severally on the same matter of rogue recruitment agencies who continue to exploit our Kenyans each and every day, Mr. Speaker. And the answer they give us that they have blocked, most of them have already been blacklisted, but somehow, somewhat, you find there are so many other rogue agencies out there who continue to exploit Kenyans each and every day. So I think, Mr. Speaker, NEA are a bit overwhelmed, and this one needs a collective government approach from different state departments just to come and assist, because this is one of the most serious cases that also we have it in the committee. We have received many complaints, but there are many more that Kenyans who are suffering out there because they have been given an opportunity to travel by these rogue agencies, and then they are not able to get the services that they went to do. Some of them have been taken to go and work, and only to realize that there are no jobs. They get there and they get stranded. Some of them pay and they never get there. Some of them get to many countries and they get mistreated and they never get help. So I'm happy that we are discussing this. All of us are taking keen interest on this because Kenyans really need to get hope. And I know, Mr. Speaker, it is the Kazi Maju program. There are many Kenyans who have been assisted, the ones that have traveled through the right channels. We are not saying it is a bad program, but the Kenyans who are traveling using the rogue recruitment agencies are the ones who are suffering, and that is the issue that we really need to look at. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am extremely shocked in the manner in which Kenyans can be actually taken all the way to Moscow to fight another sovereign country called Ukraine. Mr. Speaker, this is a chilling matter that we are so vulnerable to an extent that we are not able to manage this particular customer Jew thing. The DCI now and the NIS need to go with swift to interrogate all these agencies that pretend to take labor outside this country. It is now upon our government to look back the same Kenyans who went to fight Ukrainians to come back and work in Kulalu farms, to work in Takwel farms, create opportunities for them so that they can work in their country. So, Speaker, to an extent where they go through Uganda or South Africa because of desperation of jobs that are not known, is a serious matter. I also take this opportunity to call out parents and community leaders to Nyumba Gumi. If a parent does not see his son for 2-3 weeks, does not come home, or says he wants to go to Kasimaju, ask yourself, where is your son going? Because this is a serious matter that we must begin from parents to government to agencies that do investigation so that we can protect the sovereignty of this country, the people of Kenya, being butchered or murdered in areas that they do not know.
Thank you.
Even receiving training for 3 weeks, Mr. Speaker, even bandits receive training for more than 2 years. These ones receive training for 3 weeks and they know how to draw bombs.
Is that from your experience? Yes, Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, there are things you say and your national TV. How did the Honorable Member for Baringo North know how long it takes to train a bandit? He needs to substantiate and tell us, how did he know how long it takes to train a bandit? Has he ever trained one?
Speaker, I have never trained a bandit. If anything, we have seen people doing banditry for many years, and today, Mr. Speaker, I want to report to you that there is no more bandits. They have been finished, and the people of the North Rift are peaceful, and I am now the bishop of everybody around that area. So there is no more training bandits, Mr. Speaker, as a lady by the lady.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kumpongeza kiongozi wa wengi. Mheshimiwa Spika, niko katika kamati ya diaspora kama alivyosema Mheshimiwa Haika. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, inasikitisha sana kuona kuwa Wakenya wanatolewa hapa, wanapita immigration, anapita anaenda Uganda, anaenda sehemu nyingine, kumbe anaenda katika taifa ambalo lina vita. Mheshimiwa Spika, hata kama kuna ukosefu wa ajira, lazima Wakenya waweze kujua haki zao za kimsingi, na Kenya hairuhusu Mkenya yoyote kutoka kwenda katika mataifa ambayo yana vita. Mheshimiwa Spika, na Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi napenda kusema mara nyingi wamekuja NEA na niweze kusema Madam Okoki anafanya kazi nzuri sana pale, lakini hawa ambao wanachukua watoto wetu, na mimi nasikitishwa sana kwa sababu hizi kazi za majuu zilianzia Mombasa. Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini wale maagent wetu wa Mombasa utapata wameachwa nyuma. Sasa wameingia hawa ambao wanapeleka watu tu mahali popote, hawaangalii sheria. Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi nataka kusema migration, kwa sababu wako kwenye mipaka yote, hao ndio ambao wanafanya Wakenya wanapita kwa sababu wanahongwa huko. Mheshimiwa Spika, lazima migration waangalie kama NIS, hao ndio wanakuja kuvet hawa agencies, wanawaveti vizuri, siwezi kuwalaumu, lakini yule ambaye yuko kwenye mipaka, yuko airport, anaruhusu vipi Mkenya atoke Kenya kwenda Russia kwenda kupigana? Na kisha niulize, serikali ya Russia inawezaje kuchukua Wakenya bila kufuatia serikali masuala ya vita, masuala ya wanajeshi? Lazima wapite kwa serikali, wajue kuna maelewano ama hatukubali, tuachane na wao. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi napinga hii sana, na nataka nimwambie na nizungumze na NEA, niseme waangalie wale maagent walikuwa wa zamani, walikuwa very focused, sasa hivi wameachwa hivyo, hao wameingia wakora wote wanyang'anywa vibali vao. Manake kuna mpaka wale ambao wana certificate wako registered. Mheshimiwa Spika, bado wanafanya mambo haya. Wakenya ndio hawana kazi, lakini tuangalie kazi ambazo zinakuja, kazi za maana, kazi nzuri ambazo ziko katika mataifa ambayo hayana vita, watoto wetu waweze kwenda. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Wamshomba. Give Wamshomba the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Majority Leader for the report he has tabled. Indeed, it's very clear, Mr. Speaker, that our people are really vulnerable, and we understand the need and the desire for them to improve their livelihoods through looking for jobs. But Mr. Speaker, a week ago we saw the same kind of exploitation Today, the majority leader is telling us about labor exploitation. A week ago, Mr. Speaker, we witnessed sexual exploitation of women by a Russian character. And it is very, very embarrassing that, Mr. Speaker, as we speak right now, those women can hardly walk with pride and dignity as women in Kenya because their images are all over social media in Kenya. Mothers, our sisters, our daughters, being exposed by a character who is purportedly coming to exploit women sexually. Mr. Speaker, this thing is becoming very serious. We request that just like the CID and the NIS have done an extensive research, we need them to uncover this character, this Russian character, who claims to have a serious sexual prowess than the men of Kenya, who came here to exploit our women, recording himself with the women, trapping them and luring them into nice dances and whatever else he's offering. Mr. Speaker, the government must protect the women of Kenya from such characters, and we must make sure that we protect the dignity of our women because that is our duty. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me also join my colleagues in lauding the majority leader for expeditiously bringing a report to this House to expound on this vexatious issue of our young men and women going to fight wars of they have no interest in and getting killed. Honorable Speaker, labor mobility is an acceptable form of economic empowerment that should not be discouraged upon. Whichever way, when somebody chooses to go and do for labor outside the country, is duty bound to go and do a job that is safe and enhances the dignity of his family and himself. Honorable Speaker, many people who go out to do these manual jobs do so out of desperation. If you listen to the Conference of Catholics, when the Catholic bishops on the Lenten campaign program, they have detailed very desperate situations that are literally driving families into depression and to do anything that can save them life. Honorable Speaker, as a country, the only way we can save ourselves from this situation is to continuously build this economy so that each and every Kenyan can have a job to do, so that those who go out of this country do so out of luxury or to improve their skills and get better skills. I just want to urge the government executive to get to the root of it and clearly stop this mess because it's going to be costly, embarrassing. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, and let me pick up what Honorable Mchomba has said, and the Honorable Jared has told me as he was leaving, it's double tragedy for Kenyans. Kenyans are dying in Russia, and there's somebody here who is embarrassing Kenyans here in this country. It's double tragedy. We appreciate and we apologize to the people of Kenya. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Bersimba.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kunipa fursa mimi nipenyeze sauti yangu kwenye hili swala la Wakenya kwenda kuuawa katika nchi ya ugeni. Kwanza Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nitatoa lawama langu kwa idara mbili, idara ya uhamiaji na idara ya ujasusi, kwa sababu wangekuwa wamepeleleza kujua kwamba hawa Wakenya wanaopelekwa Russia na sasa Russia iko katika mzozo wanaenda kufanya nini, na hata uhamiaji wao ndio wanaowakubalia wakipita, wangekuwa wanataka kujua hasa ni karatasi ama ana agreement gani, makubaliano gani na kazi gani. Na hatari yake ni kwamba hapa kweli kuna shida ya kazi, na si Kenya peke yake, ni ulimwengu mzima. Lakini hapa kwetu kidogo wanaona kama hawamekata matumaini. Ni sisi tuweke matumaini kwamba wao wanajua kwamba hata hapa watapata ajira ili waweze kujiendeleza maisha yao. Hatari yake Mheshimiwa Spika, naosema kwamba ninalaumu ujasusi na uhamiaji. Wale wakienda kule tunasikitika kwamba wanapoteza maisha yao. Lakini kesho Mungu akiwasaidia pengine kule, si lazima ukienda paka ufe. Unaweza kwenda na ukamaliza na ukarudi. Wakati wamerudi na wamepata ujuzi wa aina tofauti na waje wakae hapa hawana kazi, hii taifa litakuwa namna gani? Ndio maana nasema ujasusi kama wako wachache lazima waongezeke ili kusudi wachunguze kila menendo ya mambo yanavyoendelea kwa usalama wa taifa hili. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba tuwe makini ili kusudi watoto wetu wasiende kupoteza maisha yao nchi za ugeni. Asante sana.
We'll stop there on this. Majority Leader, those were all positive comments. They don't require your rejoinder. Elachi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to request for a statement regarding delay in provision of emergency treatment under the Social Health Authority. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 42C, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health regarding the delay in provision of emergency treatment under the Social Health Authority. Honorable Speaker, in January 2026, 3 teachers, namely Ms. Faith Dunge Nguma, Jacob Mwadi Kingo, and Mr. Nicholas Omondi Arema, tragically succumbed to injuries sustained following an accident that occurred outside City Primary School in Nairobi County. The deceased passed away due to delayed access to medical treatment occasioned by lack of funds required for admission. Notably, teachers across the country contribute towards the Social Health Authority Fund and are therefore entitled to timely and adequate medical care under the scheme. This unfortunate incident has raised grave concerns among teachers regarding the efficiency, responsiveness, and operational preparedness of the Social Health Authority (SHA) in handling emergency medical cases involving active contributors. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health on the following: circumstances that led to the delay in admission and provision of emergency treatment to the 3 teachers despite being active contributors of SHA, operational mechanisms put in place to facilitate provision of emergency treatment to teachers under the Social Health Authority, and compensation measures, if any, to support the families of the deceased teachers. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Chair, Health. Any member from the committee? Health. Majority Leader relay to them to bring a response in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Next order. Yes, hold Chisairo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just wanted to bring to the attention of the House that there is so much communication that comes to this House, be it from the ministers, the CSs, or from the committee chairpersons, that ends up being messages of just ensuring that time passes. Honorable Speaker, last year, on the issues of CARA, we had the CS here, and there was an agreement that all the funds going to constituencies will remain untouched. But, Honorable Speaker, I would like to notify the House that the regional engineers have gotten communication of a deduction of up to 13 million per constituencies. That is being, for the 22%, reduced from 42 million to 35 million, and for 10%, reduced from 21 million to 5 million. Honorable Speaker, I would like your indulgence to try and ensure that these monies come as promised by the CS, because it's the rainy season and we are really struggling to have roads in our constituencies.
Indeed, Chisairo, that matter came to the House Business Committee yesterday, and we tasked the Majority Leader to liaise with the Executive and bring a response. Probably we can give him time either tomorrow or next week. Majority Leader, when can you? Next week?
Yes, Tuesday next week.
Tuesday next week. He will give a response to that. In the House Business Committee, the matter was raised by Honorable Mwalio and Honorable Kainan. I also have copies of those letters you are quoting, and Majority Leader will respond. Next order.
Order number 8, the Fire and Rescue Services Professionals Bill, Senate Bill number 55 of 2023, second reading. Question to be put.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Honorable members, will now put the question at order number 8, which is that the Fire and Rescue Services Professionals Bill, Senate Bill number 55 of 2023, be now read a second time. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. Next.
Order number 9, motion, consideration of a petition regarding pollution of River Athi. Question to be put.
Honorable members, I'll now put the question at order number 9, which is that this House adopts the report of the Public Petitions Committee on its consideration of Public Petition number 11 of 2022 regarding pollution of River Athi, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 11th April 2024. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, consideration of a petition regarding regulation of TikTok in Kenya. Resumption of debate.
Who was on the screen? I have Gitonga Murugara. Are you queuing for this? No. Wilberforce Oundo, are you queuing for this? Adan Haji Mandera West, are you queuing for this? Mangale Chiforomondo. Rindikiri Mugambi. Beatrice Elachi, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to rise and support the report. Mr. Speaker, I know many of our young people might think that this House wants to gag them on TikTok. But I want to also tell many of our young people today that even when you look at the report of the bishops, of the Catholic bishops, they are requesting, how can we ensure we have TikTok, yes, but TikTok should not be used for pornography, should not be used to misuse the country, should not be used for sexual offenses. And so, Mr. Speaker, it's a matter of where we just need to come on the table and agree that we have laws in this country, and these laws are laws that protect our young people.
Honorable Elachi, just before you proceed, Majority Leader, if you recall, in the House Business Committee, we did observe very clearly that the motion before the House is not for banning TikTok. It's for regulation of TikTok. And we observed very clearly that the issue is content. And this country and this parliament has a legal and moral duty to protect our children, our families, and our country from moral perversion and moral corruption. So anybody out there, and Irene Mayaka has alerted me to something going around, that this parliament is debating to ban TikTok. That's exactly the problem that this motion is dealing with. Misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. That is what you are dealing with. So whoever is misleading the country, there is no motion before this House to ban TikTok. But there's a motion before this House to deal with the recklessness that come along the otherwise very good intentions on TikTok. Elachi, you can proceed now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, all of us will agree, and every Kenyan will agree, that it is important for us to look at our national security and our public safety. And I think what we are saying as Parliament is how do we strengthen the legal framework, the regulatory framework to ensure that indeed there is data protection. Because, Mr. Speaker, you'll find every manner of TikTok in this country. While we are embracing and accepting and fighting left and right, in Europe, they are regulating and they are making sure children who are minor, who are below 18 years, are able to be safeguarded. And so therefore, for us to stand firm, Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to ensure that we look at and the Kenya Authority, the Communications Authority, must also look at it. And it is required very well to also register major social media operators so that we agree, because it is a country. We are not just in a world where we do our things. If we don't have order, we will find ourselves with many challenges. So I want to plead to the young people, what is safe for your sibling who is in the house, who is young? What is safe? What would you love them to see that is good for them? Because you might be an adult, you are able to see. Mr. Speaker, when you look at all the TikToks we've allowed, it has become it's an advertisement platform, yes. Can be used very well to do very many good things for the country. But at the same time, it cannot be an advertisement platform where at night I put it on and decide now it is my time to do all the pornographies that I will want, and yet you know very well tomorrow, that same space, any person can still find it. So we are just saying, let us regulate. Let us make it workable for our young people, but also for the minors. And let us protect our country. That is why this Russian man decided to land on us, because he found a place where Kenya, we have democracy beyond democracy, where you can do anything. And you can also decide. That's why he's using the same TikTok to spread all the women. And I don't know what we are still doing with this Russian man, Mr. Speaker, because this is one example where now we say, if our law in Kenya is strict on pornography, how did it end up on our TikToks? How? Those are things we need to deal with. The other thing that you realize, it is also a space where someone just does a crime and feels it's okay to just share this crime. And he will just use TikTok to share the same crime. And we need also the owners of TikTok to start telling us, because they are also responsible. If you have a space, a digital space that you've allowed people to use, then allow also a space to report. Mr. Speaker, it is so difficult to report a TikTok. And so, yeah, it is so difficult to report. It's not like Facebook where I'll go and pick a video, report until they'll pull it down. It is so difficult. And that's why we are saying, even for us, the Communications Authority must also give the people, those who have been given these spaces, who are international digital people, to ensure that they are able to be questioned, they are able to also be remanded when things are going wrong. So, Mr. Speaker, I support and I plead with the young people, let us create a space for both you, but also safeguard your siblings at home and the minors who are in school. I beg to support.
KJ. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
and I do stand here well cognizant of what direction the chair has given on this debate. That, Mr. Speaker, this debate does not hinge on a banning. We are talking as a country about the regulation of a platform that is in the hands not only of adults in this country, but also very vulnerable young children, Mr. Speaker. And the conversation ought to start with the understanding that regulations and laws can only do so much. That even families, parents, teachers, older brothers and sisters also have a place in this debate, Mr. Speaker. And so the debate that comes to the floor of this House today, Mr. Speaker, must be seen as a policy debate, not a moral panic. Kenya is not in any moral panic, but we must have a conversation around the policies that speak to this technology that is taking us into the fourth industrial revolution and beyond, Mr. Speaker. We also all must remind ourselves that some of these applications are not engineered. They're not made in this country, Mr. Speaker. And so when you get onto a platform and start working with algorithms that are set by somebody out there, the algorithms could be set for pushing marketing, Mr. Speaker, for pushing business, and in the same time, not conscious to the African traditional values that we answer to, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, my point is that, one, regulation must protect without strangling innovation. That these innovations are useful for a time such as this, Mr. Speaker. That when we talk about this fourth industrial revolution, we are cognizant that it is driven by innovation, Mr. Speaker. So that even as we debate about these emerging technologies, we ought to remind ourselves that they are here to support enterprise, to support human development, to support education, but at the same time, Mr. Speaker, they must be sensitive to the human component, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is important that even as we move towards regulation, we understand what the river banks are for this regulation in this new space in what we are calling the fourth industrial revolution. And Mr. Speaker, chairing the Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation, my recommendations on the riverbank, it has to be so clear that we are focusing on a number of issues, Mr. Speaker. Number one, we need to have very clear community standards that are aligned with all the Kenyan laws, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we must have transparent content moderation processes. Mr. Speaker, the parameters that have been set are set in capitals far away from Nairobi. And even the daily user can tell you that these parameters work differently for each post that they put out. So, Mr. Speaker, we should be working as a parliament towards transparent content moderation processes, Mr. Speaker. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, there is a need for local accountability and representation in the country, Mr. Speaker, so that every entity that is doing business in this country must follow the old company laws that allow for them to be registered locally, so that what they are doing is also answerable to the laws of the land, Mr. Speaker. We must also have a right of appeal for content takedowns, Mr. Speaker, so that it is not just an algorithm or a computer somewhere deciding on what stays up and what comes down. Mr. Speaker, this again also needs to be very transparent as we go forward. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say that there is a key need in this country for child safety and mental health, which should be non-negotiable, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we all know how trends on social media work on the brain of a human being. As it is, we know the effect it can have on an adult. We are yet to know fully, Mr. Speaker, what this dependence on social media is just about to do on the little children whose minds are still at the formative stage, where we were told that the mind forms from the age of 0 to around 18, and from there, Mr. Speaker, up to 21, there is a moderation on growth in the mental growth of a human being. So, Mr. Speaker, we must be able to protect our children from explicit content, from gambling and financial scams, extremism and propaganda, harmful body image narratives, Mr. Speaker, so that then we shall be speaking towards that. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we ought to consider this petition very seriously on the case of data sovereignty and national security, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I do pledge for just a minute, Mr. Speaker, so that I prosecute this point. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for according me that 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, we need to come very strongly on the issue of data sovereignty and national security. Mr. Speaker, the committee that I chair, the Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation, started with its first order of business in this parliament by interrogating an individual who had landed in this country with an orb-shaped equipment, which they were collecting human data out of Kenyans by just incentivizing them with a few thousand Kenya shillings, which were not even fiat money. They were being induced using money that they ought to have redeemed using cyber money, Mr. Speaker. And that case alone opened the Pandora's box on what is happening in terms of exploitation of data and data sovereignty against laws that have been passed by this parliament. Because, Mr. Speaker, Kenya leads on the part of data protection. What we're looking for is compliance, adherence, and also policing, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I need to complete by saying that any regulatory framework must insist on compliance with the Kenyan data protection standards. It must be clear disclosure of cross-border data transfers, and it must also speak to the cooperation with Kenyan authorities in lawful investigations. And I want to thank Mr. Bob Ndolo profusely for bringing this to the floor of the House so that we can have a conversation that is fit for a time such as this. That even as Kenya walks into the new land that is digital, we also must protect our people, our children, our women, and the entire populace, Mr. Speaker. And I do thank you, and I support with those very pointed support points that can be fed into this petition, so that as we are prosecuting it as Parliament, we will be very sensitive to what already we have done as a Parliament. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Russell.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, I beg to support this particular report. This is a law-making house, and if we fail to make the laws for this land, then we are not just destroying the current generation, we'll be destroying the future generation. The attempt of this particular bill in the report is to regulate. And by regulating, you are protecting two sides. It's a double-edged sword. That I'm protecting you, but at the same time, I'm giving you leeway to do what you are supposed to do, but within the limits of confines that the law says do not exceed. Honorable Speaker, there are content creators on TikTok who make a lot of money and they make good living. But that should not come at the expense of the social regulation that is needed in this country. And us, we are Africans. We are still not Europeans, or we don't live in the West. We still have a lot of traditions that we want to protect. It is the other generations who can decide either way. But for us today, living in Kenya and being leaders for this country, we have teenagers. And we must go out there to tell them, yes, this is good, but if you go beyond this limit, this will affect you. Mr. Speaker, TikTok is accessed by everybody, from the old, the young, the male, the female. And because of that accessibility, you must look at what is the content. Is it good for a youngster? Is it good for an adult? Because sometimes somebody flashes, even within Parliament, somebody all of a sudden sees the phone ringing and then he says, oh, what is this? So, Mr. Speaker, we have a moral duty as lawmakers of this country to say that what is not right for this country or what is not right for any generation should not be allowed in this country. Mr. Speaker, I agree with KJ when he says that a lot of these TikTok algorithms is done by other people in Europe, in China, in America, but we are just consumers. Yeah, it is given to us in a coded language, and we just think that it is a simple thing. So when this committee of ICT sit, they must not sit on their hands. They must be brave men and women to say that you have crossed the red line. The Communication Authority of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, in the last motion, the leader of majority tabled a report about young Kenyans recruited as mercenaries to go and fight in Russia. It is indicative of people sleeping on their jobs. These are not one or two Kenyans who are being taken outside. There are hundreds of them, maybe in 500. What is the reason? Why hasn't somebody picked it up? Why is there no one before court? Because many of them are innocent youngsters who are seeking for a good living, greener pastures. But somebody else is prying on them, sending them to a foreign war so that they just become fodder for those wars. So for that reason, Mr. Speaker, even this TikTok, those organizations that are watchdog for the country must not sit on their hands, must put their hands on the button to say, no, you have crossed a red line. With those remarks, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kuchangia masala ya TikTok Mheshimiwa Spika. Vijana wengi hata naona kwenye mtandao wamepeleka habari ambazo sizo kuwa bunge hili linataka kuban kabisa TikTok Mheshimiwa Spika. Nataka ifahamike kuwa huo ni uongo, na jumba hili linataka kuweza kuweka mikakati ya kuweza kuhakikisha kuwa TikTok inatumika vizuri Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni vijana wengi tu ambao wanapata ajira pale, wanapata senti zao pale, na wanaweka contents ambao ni nzuri sana za kuweza kuwasaidia na kuingiza kitu kidogo Mheshimiwa Spika. Tumeona vijana wengi wanafanya biashara, bidhaa zao, na hata sisi kama wabunge tumekuwa tukinunua kutoka kwao bidhaa zao Mheshimiwa Spika, ambayo ni kitu kizuri sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini pia kuna wengine ambao wanaitumia TikTok vibaya Mheshimiwa Spika. Utapata mama ya mtu pengine amewekwa uchi kwenye TikTok, anachekwa, mtu ampigwa picha bila kujua, bila idhini yake, imetumika kutumia content ambao si nzuri Mheshimiwa Spika, na watoto wadogo wakifika pale wanakutana na picha na video ambazo ni za kutamausha sana, ambazo zinawaharibu pia akili zao Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka niwaambie vijana wa Kenya, sio kuwa nyinyi mnanyimwa kutumia TikTok lakini nataka iweko mikakati ambayo kwamba mtatumia TikTok vizuri ili muweze kujifaidi na kuendeleza maisha yenu Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, ikumbukwe kuwa China mpaka wa leo wameban kwao TikTok kwa sababu walijua ina madhara gani. Mimi ningependa niseme taifa hili, kabla tungekuwa tumeanza kutumia TikTok, ingekuwa tumeweka mikakati. Umeona sasa, ndio kwa hivyo unaona sasa hivi vijana wanaanza kubabaika, wanaona kama ajira zao zitapotea, lakini sivyo hivyo. Ni mikakati ya kuweka sheria ya kutumia TikTok vizuri. Tumeona watu wanawekwa kwenye masanduku majeneza kwa wamekufa, mtu mwingine ambaye hana ufahamu anaanza naye kupeleka hiyo information kuwa fulani amekufa, wakati ambapo ni urongo Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hiyo mimi kama mama nimeona mengi sana kwenye TikTok, nimeona watu wanatukana na matusi, wengine wanaweka live wanatukana na matusi mabaya, hata watoto wakipatikana na simu akiangalia anaona vitu ambavyo sivyo Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini pia nimeona wengi ambao wanafunza masala ya herbals, masala ya mambo mazuri sana katika jamii Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hiyo sisi wale ambao sisi tunaangalia huweza kutoa zile content ambazo ni mbovu ni wale ambao wanatumia TikTok vibaya. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, hii taifa inaongozwa na sheria, ambao sheria ilipigiwa kura na Wakenya wote Mheshimiwa Spika, na lazima sheria ifuatwe hata kwenye mitandao. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka niseme TikTok imetoa ajira, ndio. TikTok imesaidia wengi, na kama alivyosema ndugu yangu Kiare, imekuwa na msisimko mkubwa kwenye jamii ambao imesaidia vijana wengi na hata watu wazima, hata sisi kina mama, hata sisi wabunge hapa tunatumia TikTok kuweza kupeleka information kwa watu wote ama kwa jamii ambayo inatuangalia kutokana na social media. Lakini ni lazima tujue message gani ambayo inatoka kwa TikTok kuingia kwa wananchi. Ni lazima tujue who is behind this TikTok ambaye anaitumia vibaya. Wengine hata hizi kazi mnasikia za wanajeshi ambao wanaenda Russia Mheshimiwa Spika, wengine wamepata tu pale ndani ya TikTok, mtu anatumiwa message, anakimbia mbio, anavushwa na Uganda nini, mara akianza kulia kuwa anateseka kule, hayo masala yanaregeshwa kwenye jumba hili, sisi kama wabunge na serikali inaanza kulaumiwa. Ndio maana sasa kama serikali lazima tuweke mikakati ya kuweka sheria ambayo heshima itadumu ndani ya TikTok, nidhamu itatumika vizuri, na vijana wetu waweze kufaulu katika mambo yao mazuri ambayo wanayotumia ndani ya TikTok. Kwa hiyo nataka nimwambie kijana wangu mmoja kutoka Jomvu, ameniuliza mama, mbona bunge hili lenu linataka kufunga TikTok? Nataka nikwambie TikTok iko sawa utas, wewe utumie kwa vizuri, wala msilete matatizo kwa wengine. Ni regulations tu ambazo tunaweka kuweza kuweka mikakati ya sawa. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this motion for adoption of this report by the Petitions Committee. And to re-emphasize, Honorable Speaker, the motion is to regulate the content on TikTok and other social media platforms. Because TikTok is one social media platform, Honorable Speaker, but there are many social media platforms. Honorable Speaker, also to point out what the Speaker alluded to, that indeed part of what we seek to address, and I must thank Bob Ndolo, is it Ndolo? KJ? Bob Ndolo, who was a petitioner in this matter, because they are very spirited Kenyan and one who values our nation and its young people. Because even for him to garner the courage to petition the House to put measures to regulate these social media platforms, including TikTok, is because I believe I don't know him, but I want to believe he's a parent. And any parent in Kenya, any person who cares about the children of Kenya, any person who is either a religious leader or believes in religion and God, knows that there is indeed a lot of perversion out there, most of which is being spread on these social media platforms. Again, Honorable Speaker, many countries around the world, and we have always given the case example of Australia, where they have even regulated on age limit access to some of these social media platforms, including WhatsApp, Telegram, Instagram, and this TikTok, Honorable Speaker. In this information age, misinformation, disinformation is now a daily thing. And you know, Honorable Speaker, very few people are able to distinguish what is real and what is fake, especially the AI-generated images and stuff that is AI-generated. And a lot of things are being spread on TikTok that are AI-generated. And I was rather amused the other day, Honorable Speaker, when my auntie, who is about 89 or 88, was showing me a video, and she was very keen with her thick lenses of specs, telling me, you see the way this plane has crashed, and it did not kill anybody. So when I just looked at it, I told her, auntie, this is AI. No, lakini ndege inaanguka na unaona ikianguka. Honorable Speaker, that is the age we are in. And many people around the world are not able to distinguish what is real, what is unreal. And that is the danger with social media platforms that are not regulated. Because young, vulnerable children of Kenya will not be able to tell what is true, what is untrue. What is immoral, what is not. Because they imagine that the things they are watching on those platforms are things that other people are doing and they want to copy. And they think those who are doing those things are their heroes. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, look at the young Kenyans who are following the young man who was here the other day from the US. I Show Speed. How many of you knew who I Show Speed is? Because I must confess, I never knew who he is. I never knew until he was in Kenya. But my daughters, including my 8-year-old daughter, knew who I Show Speed is from these social media platforms, Honorable Speaker. It tells you, thank God that such a person who's being followed is not engaging in immorality or other pervasive things. Thank God. But what if they were following someone who is showing, what if that Russian who was in Nairobi and around the other day was doing those things and recording the women he was recording and sharing them on platforms that our children, our young school girls, and in fact, you know, we only came to know it because he shared it on his Telegram, was it Instagram or Telegram page? Instagram. Honorable Speaker, if you cannot be 2 minutes. That is the danger, Honorable Speaker, that we are confronted with. And if we don't regulate these social media platforms, because those out there now who are misinforming Kenyans that the National Assembly wants to ban TikTok, we are not banning TikTok. But we want to institute measures, and that is why we are saying this is a motion, this is not a law. And let me tell those out there who do not know, motions are not laws. And until the ministry comes up with a bill or regulations that will be gazetted, that state how these social media platforms will be regulated, there's nothing that will change. But we are urging, and if you look at the resolutions of the committee, is that within 4 months upon adoption of this report, mechanisms for enhancement of age verification on social media platforms, localization of Kenyan user data to be retained within the country. Because, Honorable Speaker, data protection today, data is a gold mine. The most valuable thing in the world today, or valuable asset that anyone holds today, is data. And we must protect our data that is being mined using these social media platforms, including TikTok. Honorable Speaker, you may have noticed, if today you are watching a video on use of private jets, these phones are able to profile you, and tomorrow you will keep seeing very many videos showing you various forms of jets. Or even if you are looking for a car online, it will keep sending you reels showing the kind of car you are looking for. Therefore, it is data, your data that has been mined. How do you protect yourself and your children from that, Honorable Speaker? That is what we are dealing with. And Honorable Speaker, people are earning from your data. And all of us. Therefore, we must protect. The other thing we are saying is to ensure that 4 months upon adoption of this report on digital literacy programs to create awareness on data privacy, processing and storage and community guidelines by social media platforms, including TikTok, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, let it be clear, we have no intention to ban TikTok, but we have every intention and we have a moral obligation and national duty that we owe to ourselves, to our children, and even to God, who has bestowed us with the ability to raise children, to protect them, Honorable Speaker. We have that national duty to regulate the content that is on all social media platforms, including TikTok, Honorable Speaker. Because if we don't do that, we will have failed our nation, we will have failed our children, and we will raise up a nation that has no morals, that has no ethics, and if we want to raise a nation that is moving towards a first world nation, if the first world nations are regulating the content on their social media platforms, why not us who are aspiring to get to the first world? We must follow suit, we must regulate, Honorable Speaker. And I want to beg to support this motion and thank the committee for the immense work they put in. Thank Mr. Bob Ndolo, who petitioned the House. Indeed, his petition was a call for action because we are a bit late. Many other countries have done it, and we must do. We must also regulate on the age limits that are in this report, Honorable Speaker. It is not fair that our 8-year-olds, our 4-year-olds are able to view everything that they can view on their social media platforms, Honorable Speaker. We must protect our children, and I want to urge everybody in the country to support this endeavor to regulate the content on TikTok and other social media platforms without banning it. And I insist, TikTok and other social media platforms are not being banned. They will never be banned in this country. But we must protect the country and our children. Thank you.
Madam Gladys Sholei. What's your point of order, Honorable Zengu? What's out of order?
Honorable Speaker, I stand on standing order number 97, noting that this debate started yesterday and members more or less we are saying the same thing. The message is the same. I wanted to beg the House that we terminate the debate, considering the fact that there are other items on the order paper, and we have allowed a motion of interfering with today's business.
Order, Honorable Zengu. The mover is supposed to reply not too long from now. And the chair also has a duty to protect the minority that wants to be heard. Proceed, Madam Sholei.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for clarifying on that point of order. I think this is the single most important motion that we can debate. I was saying, Honorable Speaker, that this is not a debate to be shortened. This is the single most important debate that we can discuss during this parliament session. It not only affects our current children, but generations to come. So there is no way that we can take this lightly. Even if we have to debate it until tomorrow, we should. I think we should do that.
Or a point of information. Yes, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, the debate on this issue is timed, and there is no reason why we should be cutting it short ahead of its time. And in fact, members are very keen to debate this, Mr. Speaker, because understandably, more than anything else, this has a bearing on how we are bringing up our children, how we are running our businesses, how we are interacting with each other. And Mr. Speaker, this is a debate that is right for a time such as this, Mr. Speaker. Let it run its due course, Mr. Speaker, so that this House may be able to pronounce it.
Order, Honorable KJ, you are taking valuable time from the Madam Deputy Speaker. The chair has pronounced to the same. Thank you for...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think what Honorable KJ is still important. I think it cannot be emphasized enough. And we must tell ourselves, it may look like something we're taking lightly. But when you look at the way AI is operating, or any of those apps, including TikTok, they have the potential to actually endanger national security. They endanger data privacy. And we must regulate it. And like we said, we are not banning it. We must regulate it so that we can protect our children, we can protect the vulnerable users, and we can only do this if we take charge of it. We cannot have a situation where our entire population can be controlled by an algorithm or somebody using trolls and bots and all those to be able to control the psyche, the thinking, and even create biases in our population. That would be akin to allowing the extinction of future generations. And when we say we want to regulate it, there must be strict oversight. We must talk about data localization. We must also be able to block access to certain sensitive information. And also, there is even potential misuse by which includes espionage on a country. It can also track the location of your population, including those who have sensitive information. For example, our army, our police, our intelligence service, even the movements of our military. It also has the potential, if it's uncontrolled, for it to spread propaganda in the country. It can also be used to suppress dissent. So those who are human rights activists and civil rights activists know that it's also important to protect democracy. It can sway public opinion. It can allow a foreign country or a foreign agency to mislead and control the minds of your population. It is more dangerous than a full-fledged war against a state. And when we talk about regulating it, we are telling ourselves, we'll regulate it by regulating the content, we'll regulate the misuse and abuse, we will regulate the disinformation and misinformation, we will regulate even through fines, so that if one is involved in deep fakes, in misinformation, we can then fine that country. And we've seen debates that have gone on in the US where they're saying they can fine the organization up to 20% of its turnover, so that we can deter the allowing of this. Again, when we talk about regulating TikTok and these apps, we are telling ourselves we are also protecting the mental health of our children and future generations. It has been confirmed by science that it's causing attention deficiency in our children. It is disrupting sleep. It is making them have eating disorders. Some of them have even been involved in harming themselves because they've been psyched that they should be a certain way, behave a certain way, go to certain places, look at themselves in a certain way. And this has caused children to have self-doubt and to not have self-esteem. Hence the reason why we said some suicides have been related to these social media applications. Also, and this debate is not just happening in Kenya, it's happening in Denmark, it's happening in Australia. And even not so long ago, the US Supreme Court upheld the regulation of these apps by the country. It said that the country or the nation has a constitutional right to protect their citizens from being controlled by such applications. But we are not saying that some of these applications are not good. They are good and can be used for good. They can be used to promote better farming activities. They can be used for teaching. They can be used for spreading certain national values and so on. But it can only, the beneficial use can only be realized if we stop and regulate the misuse and the abuse of it. And in closing, I'd like to say, anybody can look at what happened in Romania last year. In Romania last year, two persons who were the winner and the runner-up of presidential elections and who declared that they spent no money on the election, had thousands and millions of TikTok accounts, which were controlled from a foreign country. And in fact, because the algorithm they had was able to manipulate the minds of people, they were elected against a political party that had been around for more than 40 years. It just tells you the power that this has on our people. And when people were interviewed and asked, do you know this person? Have you ever met them? Have you ever heard them speak? They said no. They just were seeing it on TikTok that was flooding. So if people are in a farming region,
allow her to
and those who are in farming regions, they were getting messages that were skewed to catch their attention. If people were in the city, they were getting messages that were skewed to that. It was so bad that that election had to be nullified. And the entire European Union rallied behind Romania. And they managed, thanks to their Supreme Court, to nullify it. And they went to the extent of the European Court of Justice. And it was declared that that election was null and void because it was won through misinformation and disinformation campaigns and not by telling people the truth. So as Kenyans, we must be very, very, very afraid. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Bowen.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to join my colleagues and to support the motion that, Mr. Speaker, the social media platforms in the country, Mr. Speaker, has become the source of misinformation and disinformation. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, there is need to regulate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as a country, Kenya is not a lawless country, Mr. Speaker. And this House, Mr. Speaker, as the Legislative House, Mr. Speaker, we need to come up with the laws, with policies and regulations, Mr. Speaker, that will guide our society and guide our generation, Mr. Speaker, in terms of the use of social media. Mr. Speaker, we cannot say the social media, to an extent, it's good, Mr. Speaker. We have many young people who have earned their living through the social media in terms of marketing and many other positive things, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, the negative effects brought by the social media, Mr. Speaker, especially the TikTok, Mr. Speaker, is so immense, Mr. Speaker, that as a country, we need to come up with the regulations so that, Mr. Speaker, as we use this, because, Mr. Speaker, we cannot run away from technology. Technology, Mr. Speaker, we need to move as the world moves with the technology, Mr. Speaker. As a country also, we should not be left behind. And these are the technological issues, Mr. Speaker, which we need to deal with, and we need to deal through regulations. Mr. Speaker, if you check many of the content you see in TikTok, Mr. Speaker, and you know, it exposes our young people, the school-going children, Mr. Speaker, to a very bad things. Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate the committee and even the petitioner who brought this petition to this House, Mr. Speaker, that we are going to deal not only to the TikTok, Mr. Speaker, but all other social media platforms, including the Facebook, the YouTubes, and all other, Mr. Speaker, so that we are not doing away, but we regulate them so that we can use it prudently as a country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the recently photos we saw on the TikTok, which is through the Russian fellow, Mr. Speaker, if we had a regulations as a country, through our laws, through the CAK, Mr. Speaker, those contents should have been blocked out. It should not be exposed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the social media and even data, Mr. Speaker, is now a security concern. It is a security issue in a country, Mr. Speaker, so which we cannot allow, Mr. Speaker, to just be run freely without any regulations. So we want to ask our young people, we want to clear the air to our young people outside there, Mr. Speaker, that we are not going to ban these social media platforms. But, Mr. Speaker, we want to bring legislation, we want to bring policies, we want to bring regulation so that how these social media are used is going to be beneficial to them and not to be harmful to the community and also to the young generation to come. So, Mr. Speaker, as a country, Mr. Speaker, I think there is also need, through the Ministry of ICT, Mr. Speaker, to have a cyber security center. As a country, Mr. Speaker, we need to up our game in the cyber security space to make sure that, Mr. Speaker, what comes in or what is being consumed by our people or even in our country, Mr. Speaker, is something which has been filtered and it is very secure to our people. Because, Mr. Speaker, the TikTok, the YouTube, the Facebook, the Twitter, and all those, Mr. Speaker, they are not a Kenyan, these are not a Kenyan creation, Mr. Speaker. These are things which are beyond our borders. They are beyond us because they are beyond our control. It's controlled elsewhere. So, and the only thing we can do as a country, Mr. Speaker, is to come up with the laws so that we regulate what comes into our country, what is being consumed, and those which are threat to our national security, threat to our social justice, Mr. Speaker, and threat to our normal behaviors, Mr. Speaker, are filtered out or they are blocked. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, to say I support this motion, I support the petition, Mr. Speaker, and not only honorable members, that we leave it at this point as a motion. As the committee of petition, Mr. Speaker, I want...
You have half a minute.
Yes. I was concluding saying, Mr. Speaker, we should not leave it here, even as we approve as a motion, Mr. Speaker. I want to ask the chair of the committee of petition, Mr. Speaker, to enhance this motion, Mr. Speaker, to a legislation, so that now we can, our debate here cannot be just an exercise in futility, but we translate it to a legislation which is going to manage all these social media. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Madam Wamuchomba, followed by the MP for Yatta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am very, very excited to get this opportunity to support this report. I have listened to the report submissions. I have read the report, Mr. Speaker. And I am happy that the member for Unyenjes and his committee have done a fantastic job to recommend the regulations of social media, including TikTok. Mr. Speaker, I participated in the making of the law that oversees the dissemination, the design, the development of communication messages in this country. The Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act is one of the bills that I am proud as a member of parliament in the previous parliament, having participated in the making of the Data Protection Act. Mr. Speaker, let me tell you, TikTok is one of the social media platforms, has built personalities, has built celebrities, has built musicians, but on the same measure, it has demolished homes, crumbled down people's businesses, broken marriages, forced people to commit suicide, and many other adverse effects of negative publicity, Mr. Speaker. If this House cannot provide a solution on how we are going to move forward with TikTok and other social media, we are going to crumble churches, we are going to crumble mosques, we are going to finish and tear down the social fabric of this country. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether you know how many women have lost their families, their husbands, their children out of the publicity. In my community in the mountain, people call it chai. Chai is tea, where people publish fake news and they use every available social platform to defame members of parliament, to defame musicians, to defame bishops. Right now in my county, Mr. Speaker, there is a bishop who is under attack because of those fake news. One bishop in my county who started small, God has blessed him. He has risen to the levels of a bishop. And let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, people are now getting even into his bedroom. You can imagine when your children are watching their father being teared down on social platforms without control. Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue this way. I am a victim of the same social bullying. People have bullied me. They have drawn me with funny dresses which I don't wear. They have called me names. They have branded me names. They have occupied my private space. But I thank God because I'm a strong girl, and I'm sure you know that, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, you know I am one of those.
Mr. Speaker knows Madam Amuchomba is a strong girl. There's no question about that.
Very, very strong daughter of the mountain. But not every woman who is attacked like Wamuchomba will overcome. Not every bishop who is going to be attacked like Wamuchomba will overcome. Not every family man who is attacked like that bishop from my county will overcome. Mr. Speaker, this molestation of social media must come to an end. I have allowed them to molest me because I'm strong. But I'm not going to allow them to molest bishops who are doing very good work. Like that bishop I'm talking about, Mr. Speaker, just the other day, he paid school fees for over 500 children getting to grade 10. And this is somebody who is doing something every Sunday. That bishop is feeding thousands of families in his church. He gives them unga every Sunday. But because there are people who want to use social media to bring him down, they create fake news around his family, his wife, his children, and it is spreading all over. Mr. Speaker, this house is the only solution that is going to provide sobriety in social media. Mr. Speaker, as one of those who made the data protection law in the previous parliament, one of those who participated in making of Cybercrime Act with KJ here, we are now supporting this report, mandating the committee relevant to come up with proposals on how we are going to regulate social media. We are not banning, but we must regulate. Mr. Speaker, do you know how many carpenters have lost jobs because of social media? I have a case of somebody who went into TikTok and ordered a table from a certain carpenter and paid a deposit to that fake carpenter. And the TikTok page was actually branded the real carpenter, but this was a broker, a thief. So this guy was walking in the street and he was accosted by the customer. He was being asked to refund money he has never even received. How many businesses are coming down because of those fake brokers who use your company image on TikTok, on Instagram, but you are not the person who is actually marketing that. People have been conned online. Deliveries, people create delivery pages. I order a blouse. Somebody tells me, pay this, you're going to deliver the blouse. You are thinking you're trading with a real outlet shop, only to realize that you're being conned on social media. Mr. Speaker, to sustain a sober business community online, social media must be regulated. To protect our families and our marriages, those of us that are married, social media must be regulated. First, Mr. Speaker, for us to continue having a sober parliament like this one, where we report only what is being handled here as the business of the House, we must regulate social media. Mr. Speaker, we must make sure that this House is a house of solution, a house of intervention, a house that can defend and protect that voiceless woman. You can imagine how those women who are showcased having some affairs with some Russian character are feeling. Those are women with dignity. What would have happened if those women were Russian? What would have been? What would have happened? You can imagine that woman who is seeing herself in every social TikTok, every social media platform, her private parts, her body. You know, all what is going on, Mr. Speaker, is crazy. We have abandoned our social fabric for the sake of publicity. This must be stopped. And the only way to do it is not banning, it is regulating. Mr. Speaker, televisions had the freedom. To some extent, we had to regulate the content. Radio stations had their freedom. To some extent, we regulated the content. Even now, for this new media, we must regulate the content. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Rest assured that you have the total support of the chair. Total, undivided, 110% support of the Speaker of the Kenya National Assembly and his deputy. The value system in this country must be protected and families must be protected. And I assure you, anybody who's going to be on this chair will be on your side through and through. Now I think Ngusia take no more than 5 minutes. Oh, no, it's not Ngusia, MP Fayata.
Yes.
MP Fayata, eh?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you actually to the petitioner who brought this particular petition.
Yes, Honorable Basil, continue.
Yes. I raised to support the petition to regulate the TikTok, and not only TikTok. We should be talking of all social media platforms. Mr. Speaker, Kenya is not the first to do this level of legislation and the regulation of social media platforms. We have the United Kingdom, which started, the European Union, Ireland, Portugal, and many other countries globally that have taken the center stage to regulate social media platforms, Mr. Speaker. If you look at what is happening currently, we know for sure we are in an exponential age, what we refer as technology age. And the young people, we talk of Gen Zs, Gen Alpha, the Beta, Gen Beta, and many other generations to come. All this will be glued to social media, Mr. Speaker. And as a parent, we have a duty to regulate the content, the sites that are being visited by our children, because it's very important to protect these young generations for betterment of this country and many other countries globally. So, Mr. Speaker, if you look at TikTok, for instance, there are many benefits of TikTok. It is used as a creation expression center. We have dancers, we have artists, and so many other people who are actually benefiting and expressing their talent through TikTok. And that is why from onset we said we are not banning, but we are regulating. We have people who are benefiting from employment. They are advertising whatever products they have. Men are even being actually showcasing so many forms of talents within the TikTok and many other social media platforms. There is also an element of education. We have seen situation of health tips and many other education activities happening through TikTok and social media platforms. So, Mr. Speaker, what we are doing as House is actually to regulate what appears in the social media platform. And there are many benefits for this regulation. Mr. Speaker, one is to enhance data protection. We have seen a situation of data transfer, but through regulation of what happens within the social media platforms, we'll be able to limit the data transfer and enhance privacy of what is being shared in the social media platforms. Mr. Speaker, we have seen potential foreign influence through TikToks, Instagram, and other social media platforms. So through regulation, we are going to minimize foreign interference in TikTok and social media platform, which could actually have a potential risk on the country, sovereignty, and intelligence, which we have to protect as a House, Mr. Speaker. Importantly, there is element of misinformation, fake news happening through TikTok and other social media platforms. So through regulation, we are going to reduce misinformation, we are going to reduce elements of fake news and other information which have been misused or abuse of information through TikTok and social media platforms. And then consumer protection, Mr. Speaker. We have seen a situation of influencers, people who are paying promotions, and who are actually taking advantage of lack of legislation to regulate how TikTok and social media platforms are done. So through this petition, as a House, we are going to come up with the proper laws to regulate this element and reduce or enhance consumer protection, because that's a duty we have to do as legislators. So in summary, to summarize my only summary, Mr. Speaker, this particular petition, through the petitioner who brought it forward, we are going to strengthen the privacy of data. We will be able to support or promote national security, because, as I said, there is foreign interference which has a potential risk on intelligence of this particular country, Mr. Speaker. We are going to promote child protection, because as parents we have a duty to protect our children for current and future generations, Mr. Speaker. And then finally, transparency and accountability, because through regulation on TikTok and other social media platforms, we'll be able to attain high level of transparency and accountability, which will be an ultimate goal that we are all championing to see. So with those few remarks, I support and I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Where is the mover of this motion? The chairperson. Actually, we had allotted 1 hour, and I think we have already anti-corruption on social media regulation. Okay, you got 2 minutes, and then the mover will be called to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I chair the African Parliamentarians Against Corruption. The biggest problem we are having is AI and corruption, TikTok and corruption. The biggest problem, I also sit on the ICT committee. Our ICT Act that we've been working on is over 25 years old, and we are trying to pick up. My own phone is only 2 years old, and the AI is moving very, very fast. The problem of TikTok, I support the motion. China blocked out TikTok. The other day, Mr. Speaker, WorldCom, the people who were taking iris information, and we had taken them to task after 2.5 years. have now deleted that false information they got. TikTok collects false information about everybody. And I think that only way possible, and Mr. Chair, you and me, we went to certain school.
Yes.
And change is freeze, change and unfreeze. The point is here. All the countries who are working on TikTok have done that. First, block it totally. Then work out those items that are working properly and release them over time so that we do not allow the viruses to come in, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Chair, I support this, but I say we must work properly by blocking TikTok and some of the others, because the other day I saw the whole of Nyayo Stadium shouting the name of our friend Sufuna. So I was so excited when I saw this, that the rugby people, when I found out it was wrong. Mr. Chair, there are TikTok going around in Kisumu, and people have actually told me, and I'm apparently told my wife has divorced me.
Give him a minute, Let
Yes,
me conclude.
Mr. Chair, we were shocked when my wife told me something that she is hearing that we are divorced. I said, what do you mean? This is what we're saying is negative. Us politicians will deal with this. But Mr. Chair, we are here. The only way to change is to go freeze, change, and unfreeze. There is no way to say, okay, we will try and do this and this. Like malaria, Mr. Chair, as you're trying to get the vaccination for malaria, the thing changes. So the only way to do it is stop. The way we did COVID, Mr. Chair, we must move physically and fast. An ICT committee that I sit on, we will look into this issue and come back. Those people who are saying that this is a good thing, the gun was a good thing, Mr. Chair. The gun was a good thing. You know what has done? We have had people killing children in the USA. We have had children here being violated. We have the dark web, Mr. Chair. And I think these are the things that we must attend to. Thank you for the 2 minutes, Mr. Chair.
Mover.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Mover to reply. Yes. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. If I may be allowed, I would want to donate a minute to my Vice Chair. Then I'll finish.
Fair enough. Who's your Vice Chair?
Honorable Janet Sitene.
Proceed, Honorable Janet.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also wish to add my voice to this very important motion, and on the outset agree that TikTok should not be banned, but it should be regulated. Should be regulated to be able to safeguard Kenyans from the negative effects arising from the use of social media platforms. It should also be regulated to safeguard our children and protect our children from accessing such contents that pollute their minds. Otherwise, TikTok is a very good platform that can actually earn income and be monetized to be able to empower our youth. We should also regulate this particular TikTok in order to provide for age verification and content filtering. Through the Data Protection Office, Ministry of ICT and Digital Economy, they must compel the TikTok people to localize their offices in our country so that we are able to access and report any issues that pertain to TikTok. We need to compel them to put their offices within our locality to protect our data, privacy, and also our national security. ICT should also look at the content moderators to provide adequate psychosocial support to them because they are no. 1 minute. I just wanted to say that the TikTok content moderators who are used for many, many hours should be provided with psychosocial support, because that also, after being in that system for a long time, they also need to be cancelled. So there should be psychosocial support for them. And also, we should be able to provide a provision for information and reporting options to be able to flag off the illegal or inappropriate content in time before it goes out to the social and to the public, which is affecting them. So thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me that opportunity. I will give back to
Over MP4.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And allow me to thank the honorable members who have contributed to this very important motion. And Honorable Speaker, I am also shocked at the level of misinformation, distortion of information, propaganda, and also fake news that spreads very fast in this country. Mr. Speaker, to re-emphasize on the issue that is being discussed here, There is no bill that we are discussing. This is a motion arising or that was brought by a Kenyan by name Bob Dolo, a petitioner who wanted TikTok regulated. And from the contributions from the honorable members who have added their voices to this motion, Honorable Speaker, you have heard that honorable members support this idea because we have a duty and responsibility as leaders to protect even the very young people who are our children from accessing information that is not good for them. So TikTok, no one is going to ban TikTok. No one has indicated that TikTok should be banned. What the petitioner has prayed this House to do or to push for is for regulation of TikTok so that only good information is shared on those platforms. And Honorable Speaker, no one is disputing that TikTok is a good platform. Many of us, and most of us actually, are in those platforms, are in TikTok. And there we consume good information. There we learn a lot, we get entertained. We are witnesses that TikTok has really employed indirectly so many young people. So the idea of having it banned is neither here nor there. The issue is TikTok being regulated and other social media spaces so that only correct or other good information is shared for the consumption by the Kenyan public. But Honorable Speaker, also allow me to call out people and also honorable members of this House who have misinformed the people. Only 2 hours ago, I have seen the honorable member for Manyata, who has only come here for a minute and gone out. I've seen him in the village misinforming the people that TikTok is being banned. And he has promised the people that he would come to Parliament and oppose the motion. But surprisingly, he has come here, listened to the contributions, heard that there is nothing to do with banning, and he has quietly left. So I ask myself, is it not irresponsible for a leader to go and misinform the people and that he'll come here and oppose the motion, and then he comes here and chickens out without uttering a word? It is irresponsible, and we leaders must take the front seats, take leadership in informing the people on the right information. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank all the honorable members who have contributed to this motion, and also the members of the committee, the Public Petitions Committee. And Honorable Speaker, I have also noted that many members have praised the committee, and I want to thank the members of that committee because they have renewed energy, and they are very committed. Hardly do I lack a quorum, and I have seen them support the committee's work so diligently. So, Honorable Speaker, I thank you, and I beg to reply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I'll now put the question. That this House adopts the report of the Public Petitions Committee on its consideration of a public petition number 41 of 2023 regarding regulation of TikTok in Kenya laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, the 25th September, the year 2024. Will as many of the opinions say aye? Aye. Will as many of the contrary opinions say nay? The ayes have it. Thank you. Honorable members, we are now moving on a motion of adjournment. And we will call upon the MP for Wajir West. Wajir West, the Honorable Yusuf Farah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
To move definite matter of urgent national importance to discuss the drought situation in northern Kenya. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 33, Section 1, I seek the leave of adjournment of the House for purpose of discussing a definite matter of urgent national importance regarding the drought situation in northern Kenya. Honorable Speaker, drought in Kenya is no longer an occasional natural occurrence. It has become a recurring national emergency that continues to erode livelihoods, undermine food security, and threaten the dignity of millions of citizens. What we are witnessing today is not a merely weather event. It is a humanitarian, economic, and environmental crisis. According to reports from the National Drought Management Authority, several counties are in emergency phase, particularly in our arid and semi-arid lands. Counties such as Turkana, Marsabit, Wajir, Mandera, Garissa, Isiolo, and Samburu continue to experience acute water shortage and pasture depletion. In these regions, livestock, which form the backbone of household economies, are dying in alarming numbers. For pastoralist communities, livestock is not just wealth. It is food, school fees, healthcare, and dignity. Honorable Speaker, women and children are walking as far as 80 kilometers in search of water. Water ponds have dried up, boreholes are overstretched, schools are reporting increased absenteeism as families migrate in search of pasture and water. Health facilities are witnessing rising cases of malnutrition, especially among children under 5 and pregnant mothers. This House must appreciate the drought has far-reaching consequences. First, on food security. Reduced crop yields and livestock losses have significantly diminished households' food supplies. Food prices in many local markets have increased beyond the reach of ordinary Kenyans. Hunger is not just a statistic, it is a daily reality for millions in northern Kenya and semi-arid areas. Second, on the economy, the livestock sector contributes subsequently to our GDP. Repeated drought cycles are wiping out years of investment. Pastoralists who lost entire herds are pushed into chronic poverty. Third, on social stability. Competition over scarce water and pasture resources has led to increased conflict between communities. Displacement, insecurity, and school dropouts are becoming common features in drought-affected areas. Honorable Speaker, while the government has made some efforts through relief food distribution, cash transfer programs, and coordination with county governments, serious gaps remain. Relief efforts are sometimes delayed and even scarce. Logistics challenges limit equitable distribution. Most importantly, we continue to treat drought as emergency response issue rather than a long-term structural challenge. Kenya is highly vulnerable to climate variability. Climate change has made drought cycles more frequent and severe, yet our agricultural system remains heavily dependent on rain-fed farming. Our water harvesting capacity remains inadequate.
Honorable KJ and the Honorable Member for Manyata.
Degradation of forest.
We have a motion of adjournment to deliberate on the effects of drought in the country, where the livelihoods of millions of Kenyans is affected. The list I expect from the House is to be silent, listen, and participate very well. Proceed.
Degradation of forest and water catchment areas have further compounded the crisis. Honorable Speaker, drought should not surprise us. It is predictable. Early warning system exists under the National Drought Management Authority. What is often lacking is timely action and sufficient resource allocation. I therefore propose the following urgent measures. The government should declare several affected regions as a disaster zone to unlock additional emergency funding. Scale up and fast-track emergency food and water interventions. Expand livestock offtake programs to caution before herds are completely wiped out. Accelerate drilling, rehabilitation, and solarization of boreholes in ASAL counties. Honorable Speaker, protect me from my friends here.
Honorable members, the MP for Runyenges. Honorable
Menje is
I thought you also come from an area where the effects of drought is devastating to some of your constituents.
Cash transfer programs should protect vulnerable households. However, Honorable Speaker, emergency measures alone are not enough. We must adopt long-term sustainable solutions. First, we must invest heavily in water infrastructure, dams, water pumps, irrigation schemes, and water harvesting technologies. Second, we must expand irrigation-based agriculture to reduce our reliance on rainfall. Third, we must promote climate-smart agriculture and drought-resistant crops. Fifth, we must protect and restore our water towers and forest ecosystem to enhance environmental resilience. Honorable Speaker, drought management requires coordinated multi-sectoral approach. National government, county government, development partners, humanitarian agencies, the private sector and civil society must work in signage. Agencies such as the Kenya Red Cross Society and the World Food Programme have continued to support affected communities, but humanitarian assistance should not substitute sustainable policy solutions. As Parliament, we must also strengthen oversight to ensure that funds allocated for drought response are used prudently, transparently, and reach the intended beneficiaries. Accountability is critical if public trust is to be maintained. Honorable Speaker, drought is not just an environmental issue. It's a matter of human rights, economic justice, national stability. The lives of our people, especially those in ASAL counties, matter just as much as those in urban centers. Equity demands that we invest proportionately in regions that are most vulnerable. Let us move from active crisis management to proactive resilience building. Let us shift from relief dependency to sustainable development. Let us ensure that no Kenyan dies of hunger in a country placed with a vast potential. I urge this House to treat the matter of drought with the seriousness it deserves and to push for comprehensive, well-funded, and long-term solutions. Honorable Speaker, I thank you and I beg to move.
The Honorable MP for Garissa Township. Please give the mic.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. In support of the motion raised by my colleague from Wajir West. Honorable Speaker, I don't think many appreciate the kind of situation we are in the northern part of this country in terms of drought, the drought situation in the region. We have had this kind of conversation within this term of this parliament in the past, around 2023, and the same thing is happening today. As has been said before, drought situation or drought cycle is not anymore an emergency issue. We have predictable research and information on it, that there will be happening a drought in the course of this year or something like that. But however, we see a limited response from the national government and both the county governments in terms of addressing this issue of recurring drought situation. In our region, sometimes 2025, 2024, there was floods that have ravaged that region, roads destroyed, farms destroyed, and we could not harvest that water. If governments were serious in addressing this issue, they should have taken steps between that time and now to put up water infrastructure in that area. Mr. Speaker, we urgently need urgent interventions during this month of Ramadan, especially, where there is lack of water. We need urgent intervention in terms of water tracking, urgent intervention in terms of even human feeds, human food. We need animal feeds. And in the long term, those are short-term measures that we need to put into place. Otherwise, this situation has disrupted the economic activities of that region or social lives, in that people are moving from one area to another, creating conflicts in search of pasture and water. And these conflicts will deteriorate into fights, killings, and all that. So, Mr. Speaker, we ask the government, first, to declare this situation as a national disaster. Secondly, interventions from donors and development partners to come on board so that these people can be helped in terms of addressing these issues. It is getting too late for this support to come, in that if at all it comes, we'll have a problem already in place, in that many lives will be lost. Animals are already dying, so coming in at this time is already too late. So instead of waiting to the last minute, we ask the national government to come on board, declare this a disaster, so that other donors can come on board. We have engaged many of NGOs and humanitarian agencies who have told us that until and unless the government declares this as a problem, they cannot come in force. So, with those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support the motion. Thank you.
Desagio, followed by the Honorable Sane. Every member has 5 minutes, so.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this very important life-saving or life-threatening condition. Mr. Speaker, those of us who come from the northern part of this country are exposed to extreme weather conditions at the moment. Our livelihood, in terms of livestock, is at risk. And if our livestock's life is at risk, then our own lives is in danger. And to avert this, we need reliable source of water. We need reliable pasture. We need food for our people. We need food for our school children. Mr. Speaker, in areas where we come from, because wherever there's a small water source somewhere or some small pasture somewhere, people crowd there from all over the country, all over the region. I know at the moment, we have people from Mandera who are in Moyale, and it will cause unnecessary conflict. It will lead to fights and killings of people. People are not coming from Mandera to Moyale, not because of they want to move, but because the situation dictates that they must move so as to survive. The life of the pastoralist and their property and their wealth should be considered as a national importance. And therefore, the government needs to take this intervention seriously and protect us from unnecessary death from this unfavorable weather condition. I know in parts of the country people may not understand what we are talking about, but truly our people's lives are in danger. And we need protection so that we do not have unnecessary loss. In 2023, millions of livestock were lost. That was translated to billions of Kenya shillings, which were lost. I thought by now we will have been in a position to stand up and say no to this recurring drought. And as one of the former speakers said, the government needs to take this matter serious. If it was coffee or any other product and it's being threatened, they will do something. But if it's our livestock, it seems like there's a slow action and people keep on dragging their feet. And if you ask the ministries concerned, be it the Ministry of Asal, be it the Ministry of Water, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, what is their budget allocation under those sectors that will cover northern part of this country? It is minimal. And it means we have, the government seems not to have taken our situation serious, and we're pleading that our life is important to be saved, and let us save our lives. Let the government declare this drought situation a national disaster. Let the government declare.
You wish to be informed? The MP for...
Later, you will inform in private. Okay.
Okay, proceed, inform me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to inform the Honorable Dr. Guyo that this issue of livestock, specifically livestock that he has mentioned, that where I come from, Kajiado, Narok, we have been hit by the worst. We have lost the largest number of cattle, sheep, and goat.
Order.
And it is not just a northern Kenya issue. It is an issue that...
Order. You will have your moment. This is not a moment for you to debate this issue. A point of information is a lapse on the part of the member who was on the floor, and you help him. You're not going to proceed.
Thank you. I think it's good that the drought situation is not just restricted to northern Kenya. Other people are also having it. And it's not a pleasant thing to have. Our wealth is all in our livestock, and we cannot afford to lose them. We are pleading to the government to declare this thing a national disaster so as to open the gate from other donors so that people will come forward. It's so shameful that we are going around NGOs asking for help, yet we have the government that considers our situation as, and we are not doing anything to help us. So, Mr. Speaker, with those...
Proceed, give the mic to Honorable Sene.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, drought has been with us since I was born. It's not something new. It is not comparable to disasters that just come like earthquake. It is something that can be predicted. It is cyclic. Its trends can be established in a very scientific way. There are early warning systems that foretell the situation as it comes. So the need to declare it an emergency, for me, doesn't augur well. It is about governing drought, Mr. Speaker. It is governance part of the drought that matters than the mere declaration or the political declaration of drought as an emergency, Mr. Speaker. We don't need knee-jerk, ad hoc, impulsive actions in managing droughts. We are in a drought right now, and for sure I can predict, at most, in 2 years, there will be a similar drought. So this habit of always requesting, saying, trying to beg that a declaration of an emergency shall emancipate the people who keep livestock is neither here nor there, Mr. Speaker. It is a governance issue. Mr. Speaker, we need serious preparedness. Before a drought hits, ordinarily, there are vulnerability assessments, risk assessments, which is normal for any government. There must be plans for mitigation. This should have happened so that no life is lost or livelihood is put to risk, Mr. Speaker. So it is about preparedness, pre-planning, putting contingency measures in place, which is all about governance. We need to at least build the resilience of those who are affected, the livestock keepers, so that their vulnerability is built. The accusation from this shock that has become a normal thing. Drought is a normal thing, Mr. Speaker. It is no longer a new thing. It is not an emergency. It is not an earthquake that hits you without warning. Droughts are known, and they will be with us now and into the future. Even the long range, we are moving forward. There is a possibility, as the early warning signs are trying to indicate, that rain shall be below the normal. That should prepare any institution that has responsibility in managing drought or this kind of job. Mr. Speaker, pasture management is a serious thing that should be done. And that means grazing management and making sure that there are supplementary feedings. If the natural feed is not available because of drought, a government has to make sure that there is supplementary feeding measures to save lives and livestock. Mr. Speaker, water harvesting, we are talking of a drought now. Suppose it rains in March. What will happen in all over the country is another disaster, emergency, in the name of flooding, which will wipe away animals that have already lost their weight, vulnerable people, all will be lost by the rains. So we are talking of a disaster while we have in mind it will beget a disaster. A drought begetting flooding. So what shall we do to this flooding, which is a curse and a blessing in equal measure? Mr. Speaker, we need to harvest this water. We import our waters to the Indian Ocean, when the same waters can be useful to human life, to wildlife, to livestock and wildlife, and equally turn turbines to generate electricity. This is a country endowed with resources, but the use of the resources is what is in question, Mr. Speaker. So are we talking of a natural drought, or it is an artificial drought in essence? If you fail to manage a drought that is manageable, then it translates to an artificial drought.
Give him a minute. Give him 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I beg for more. A natural drought that is not managed will translate automatically to an artificial drought. So the blame comes back to us for mismanaging, for not governing well. Livestock marketing would have helped these people who are vulnerable. Where is livestock marketing, especially at these times? Dryland farming would have helped not only these arid areas, other parts of the country. Mr. Speaker, social health will also have come if it would have been improved for these people who are affected, because diseases are also there. When you are most vulnerable, diseases also come. So we beg that there should be an enhanced social health care system at this time. Policy and insurance issues would have been something that would have helped these people in the long term, Mr. Speaker. In other words, to conclude because of time, if this drought is not well managed, if we don't manage a particular drought, if there will be inaction on our side, then it proceeds that there will be a dangerous predicament going forward. It will be a cycle of disasters.
The Honorable Wako, Nomi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this debate. And from the onset, I want to say that I support this motion because the situation in ASAL areas is quite bad. It is threatening the lives of human beings. The animals have already started dying. The school-going children are no longer able to attend their classes and concentrate on their education simply because of the challenges. And majority of the pastoralists move from one place to the other, which is affecting the education system in that part of the country. And unfortunately, they will sit for the national exams when the time comes. Honorable Speaker, again, we know very well that the drought situation in Kenya is something that has been there, something that even the other leaders who have been there before us have debated on. It's something that the government has declared as national disaster, but we have never found a lasting solution. Honorable Speaker, 63 years after independence, we are still handling the drought situation in ASAL areas as if it is a new thing that is coming up. The climate change has worsened this situation. And many of the people who live in ASAL areas, in fact, they are not sure of whether they will survive the following day. Not the following year, not that they fear to die because of sicknesses and other things, but just because they have no food and water, they wonder whether they will survive the following day. Honorable Speaker, you can imagine of an expectant mother who has about 5 children and have no water, have no food. and cannot help her children. And maybe her husband died in the clashes some 2-3 years ago. That is the situation that many women go through. What can we do as a government so that, we can end the suffering of the people? Because it is not even our wish as leaders to keep crying and pleading for support. In fact, we are not happy to do that, but it is the situation that has forced us. The situation on the ground today is so bad, such that you wonder how you can even visit your county over the weekend. Honorable Speaker, there is need for us, yes, to declare this as national disaster. But even as we declare this as national disaster, as we encourage other partners to come on board and support Kenya, and as we also plead with the special program to continue giving food, what can the government do so that come 2 years from today, we will not be in the same situation? Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
The Honorable MP for Wajir South.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'd like to contribute to the motion and declare that the current drought has laid bare the soft underbelly of Kenya when it comes to disaster preparedness. We all know that drought is cyclical. Every 2 years, every 3 years, and even at some point, because of climate change, we've been facing a drought after every 1 year. Yet we were caught flat-footed. We were not prepared for what the people of most parts of northern Kenya are facing today. And what has been exposed is a deep structural weakness, a very troubling one, as well as a pattern of delayed response that has left people at the mercy of the elements. We've seen places where people are facing shortages of water and food, and who have not seen any authority whatsoever come to them. County governments, Mr. Speaker, have been, the whole devolution idea was about taking services closer to the people. And county governments have been also caught flat-footed in the response to the current drought. Up until now, there are places, and in some counties, where the county governments are not doing much in terms of delivering water and much needed aid to the people. This is unfair. They are supposed to be the first line of response to disasters and crises like the drought that we have today. We will call a spade, Mr. Speaker, and not miss our words when our people are not getting the much needed services they need, and from the people that they have put their trust in. We have seen county teams who are supposed to be their emergency response. Mr. Speaker, we have seen veterinary officers who are supposed to treat livestock coming with no drugs, expecting the pastoralists who are in the middle of the drought to buy the necessary medicine. At the same time, expect them to pay their allowances. This is happening in Kenya. This is happening in some part of Kenya. We've seen county water mechanics and maintenance workers coming to a broken down borehole and asking the people to buy the parts that should be used to repair those boreholes. This is unfair. And on top of that, expect the people to pay their allowances. Mr. Speaker, we can be better than this. And one other thing that has really been a source of concern for us is how abundant our livestock keepers are. And not just our livestock keepers, policies on livestock, largely abundant and only on paper. Sometimes you wonder if what is happening in northern Kenya today in terms of the drought was happening in other parts of the country in the form of troubles for the tea farmers, troubles for the coffee farmers and sugarcane farmers. Would we face the same level of lackluster response that we are seeing in northern Kenya? Why are livestock and livestock keepers not being given the importance they deserve in this country? They can earn foreign exchange too. Is it just because of the corner of the country that they are in, or the people who are keeping them and rearing them? It's time we started looking at things differently. It's time we started to be more prepared in our disaster management services. And it's time we started looking at some people who live in some part of the country as more human than we feel they are. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
MP for Kajiado North. Please give him the mic. Then followed by the MP for Tarbaj. The mic. Indeed, yes. I'm coming to the Great and Manyata too.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to put my voice on this adjournment motion and thank the member who brought this up. Mr. Speaker, Northern Kenya and other parts of this country are facing serious drought. Particularly Northern Kenya, Mr. Speaker, it disturbs that a government cannot plan for what they know is the obvious. The weathermen predicted, and most importantly, when this government came in, the Kenya Kwanza government came into power, they had ideas on what can be done to avert a situation where continuously you are talking of the same thing. Mr. Speaker, remember, the feeding program in Northern Kenya was put to a hold because of a number of accountability issues. As we talk today, it continues to get worse in Northern Kenya. And somebody has to speak for Northern Kenya because it is part of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, you are talking of dams. You are talking of agriculture. These are potential areas where we could have a lot of productivity with proper planning. But Mr. Speaker, even before you talk of going to Singapore, talk of going to Mandera and having to do something that can change the lives of the people there. Mr. Speaker, when you talk about you want to do mega dams, in my estimation, we should have Mandera, Wajir, Marsabit as part of the counties that are targeted, not only for their livestock, but for farming, for their water to drink. Mr. Speaker, these are areas that must be targeted intentionally. And Mr. Speaker, this is not about going to Northern Kenya and saying, you are part of my government. No, it is by actual planning. We should see in the current estimates that will be in the House soon, in the supplementary budget that is supposed to be here, we should see intentions to make sure that there are strategies towards averting the problem that we have. Yes, it should be declared a disaster, and nobody should feel ashamed that Kenya is in this crisis, because if we do not accept there is a problem, then we will not have means and ways of sorting it out. And I want to thank the members from the Northern Kenya because they have raised this issue continuously, but unfortunately the executive has continued to ignore a problem that they know exists. Mr. Speaker, there are parts of this country that were not potentially areas of agriculture, but over time, Taita Taveta, for instance, the lower part of Kajiado, Narok. But over time, because of strategies, there are plans to make sure that there are strategies towards mitigating the problem of drought. I want to say that, Mr. Speaker, if this goes on, it affects all of us. And like they say, whatever affects one directly affects all of us. So I want to speak today that Northern Kenya is part of Kenya, and we must put in plans and let the executive not give us stories of saying that they want Northern Kenya to be part of government. Let them show by budgeting, by putting in strategies. And let me say also that Kajiado, Narok has also been affected by the same. Our livestock, we might not have meat in Nairobi because the livestock that comes, the meat that people get in Nairobi comes, which is largely consumed in Nairobi, comes from the Northern Kenya, comes from Kajiado, from Narok. And as we talk today, our livestock has been affected heavily. And I want to say that today, we must all speak on behalf of the drought-hit areas, and specifically Northern Kenya, and the good people out there, like His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, who speak on behalf of Northern Kenya, must continue doing the good job. Thank you very much.
Member for Mwingi North. We'll get to you. We'll get to you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute on this motion. First, I want to thank the mover of the motion, Honorable Farah, for bringing to the attention of Kenyans the situation that is happening in most part of the country, including Kitui County, because Kitui County neighbors Tana River and the northern frontier, and we normally share the same environmental conditions. So the situation that is being faced in the northeastern Kenya is a similar situation that we are facing in Kitui County, and particularly in my constituency in Mwingi North. So I want to share in the same feelings and the same objectives with the northern Kenya people, because, you know, as the speakers have said, drought is something that can be anticipated. It is not like a natural disaster that happens without prediction. So I want to also agree with the members that the government needs to declare this drought a natural disaster, to the effect that in the coming budget, the government needs to factor money to provide food for animals and food for human beings, so that we can manage with the drought. We are hoping that the anticipated rains that are going to be coming in the month of March may solve or may ease the situation. But in the meantime, animals are dying, goats are dying, sheep are dying, cattle is dying in Mwingi North, and therefore I want to agree with the members from the Northeastern that this is indeed a natural disaster that requires the attention of the government. The same is happening for human consumption or human food, because now, like in my constituency, children are not going to be going to school very soon because there is no food at home, and therefore I'm asking that the government of Kenya should also, under the program of school feeding program, provide food to primary and secondary schools, so that even when at home there is no food, then children can always be guaranteed of a meal from the school, so that even if they take a meal per day, then they can continue to go to school and continue their education. Otherwise, they are going to be disadvantaged compared to the rest of Kenya. So I just agree and support the proposal by the honorable member. Thank you.
Okay, the honorable member for Tarbaj. Has he spoken?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. From the onset, I wish to give support. I'm in support of this motion by my colleague from Wajir West. Madam Speaker, the situation in these drought-hit areas, especially in northern Kenya, is quite dire, is quite devastating, and the response from all levels of government is quite discouraging. It's quite slow, and at times the national government, there is tossing between the national government and the county government, where the county government says it doesn't have all the ability to attend to this matter, while the national government tells us that it is the county government to attend to this matter. This is a life and death matter. This is not something that is going to affect that region or the country just for a month or two. This is something that will leave behind a print that will economically, socially, and even politically, the whole country and the region for quite a while. The situation, the response we see can be likened to a doctor treating sick people for quite some time, such that when the ordinary person brings somebody who has been hit by a car, he will tell you to just drop it there. He will attend to that person for a while. Just the same way when we present as MPs affected by this drought to the executive, they'll tell us we will attend to them, or we will attend to them, but they don't attend to them. My position, or a resolution from this House, I request is, let's have another committee visiting those areas so that they can have a picture of what's happening. Secondly, at the disposal of the constituents as CDF, I request the Treasury or this House should reach a resolution such that besides the bursaries, the MPs from these hard-hit areas should be allowed to use CDF to attend to the drought situation in their constituencies. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, first let me thank the member for raising this issue, because it is indeed a matter of great concern, not just to the people of his constituency, but to all Kenyans, because as the Speaker said, when one Kenyan or one part of Kenya is afflicted by drought, we all are, and this is a natural phenomenon, Honorable Speaker, that we must use all concerted effort that we can use to alleviate human suffering for those people who are affected in one way or the other by this drought. Honorable Speaker, when we speak about climate change, people think it's just a lot of English, but climate change is real, and the effects of this climate change are here with us, and probably is a challenge to us as policymakers and as lawmakers, that even in a house like this that is a budget-making house, as we prepare for our budget, to make sure that we budget in a way that we also anticipate such occurrences as drought, floods, because now some parts of the country, Nairobi and environs, we've started experiencing a bit of rains. And you never know how it's going to go, because unlike in the past when it was predictable that this is a rainy season, in the past, February would never have been a rainy month. Now it's raining in Nairobi and parts of our highlands. In the same spirit, you never know. Probably when we expect the rains and farmers have planted, they don't get the rains. And that is why it's important. And I want to agree with the member of Kajiado North, the Honorable Ngogoyo, when he says that as we budget, we must ensure that we have planned in a way that we do not continue to depend on rain-fed agriculture, that we have dams in the northern parts of Kenya. And that is the reason why I want to invite the Honorable Member for Kajiado North and others in this House. We are in the process of doing public participation now on the National Infrastructure Fund. That is a fund, Honorable Ngogoyo, that will transform in a big way how you do budgeting for such capital-intensive projects. Because building the dams that you need to make sure that we are food secure in this country is not something you'll be able to do from your taxes, from your tax revenue. It is not something you'll be able to borrow to do without injuring future generations. That is why I want to plead with all of us, and I'm not just addressing the member for Dagoretti, for Kajiado North, that politics aside, let us focus on doing what is right and good for this country. Politics aside. Because today, out of politics, you will hear very many people pontificate now about, oh, there is drought ravaging the northern part of Kenya. Where the other day, they were demonizing the same people from northern Kenya. Even saying they should not attend schools in my constituency, like the Alliance High School. The same people. The same people. Not knowing that the Alliance High School and other national schools have been built by Kenyans from all parts of this country. And I dare tell those Minyo people that our national schools were not built from CDF, NGCDF. I was born and brought up in my village, Gikambura, the village that hosts the Alliance High School. Honorable Speaker, if you'll allow me 5 minutes to just complete this. That the people of Kikuyu, other than our ancestral land, have never invested a shilling into the Alliance High School. Fact of life. It is the alliance of missionaries that built the Alliance High School. It is the government of Kenya that has invested. I've been member of parliament in Kikuyu for the last 13, almost 14 years. I have never sent a shilling to the Alliance High School. Because that school educates children from around the country. And I have my local issues and my local schools to address. Therefore, when we deal with issues that touch on parts of Kenya that have been marginalized over the years, let us be sensitive to other Kenyans. Let us not politicize everything, including the National Infrastructure Fund. Because it is cheap politics to just dismiss things for the sake of dismissing. Some of those who are dismissing...
Just let him finish, please.
You know, Honorable Speaker, you need to advise this member from Ngogoyo, the member for Kajiado North. He's saying time up. You are not the Speaker. And if that's how you used to behave in the Kajiado County Assembly, you're in the National Assembly now. Behave like someone in the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker.
Ngogoyo, out of order.
Honorable Speaker, when the National Infrastructure Fund, I'm saying some of those people you hear pontificating out there, they were with us in the campaign. I know some of them didn't have the temerity to read and conceptualize what we were selling to the people of Kenya during the campaign, because they said it was too complicated for them. Because on page 10 of the UDA and Kenya Kwanza manifesto, we said we shall establish a national infrastructure bank and a fund that we will mobilize resources from the privatization of state-owned corporations to be able to invest in such capital-intensive projects as the building of dams that the member for Kajiado North speaks about in Mandera, in Garissa, in Kajiado, in Deya, in Kikuyu, in Gatuanyaga, in Thika, or even in parts of Mukurweini, where they also dry areas, semi-arid areas that need, and Kieni, and many other parts of this country. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we must appreciate where we are. And even as we appreciate where we are, we must think about the future, putting politics aside. And that is why I'm inviting all of us to put politics aside and focus on what is good for this country. In the short term, you may do your politics and imagine you're exciting people, telling them all the manner of nonsense and pitting one community against the other. But it will end up in premium tiers, I will tell you. Just like the debate for shares and who holds what shares in government ended up in super premium tiers. This one also will end in super premium tiers and regret if you continue along that trajectory. I want to invite you and invite all of us to engage in meaningful debate on how we can transform this country. How within 2 to 3 years, at least in the past we used to count dead bodies across the northern parts of Kenya. I thank God that this year and in the last 3 years, we have not counted a single person dying out of drought in this country. I thank God that today, out of the subsidized fertilizer program, we are being able to give relief food to those who are afflicted by this drought without having to import food out of this country. That is how we have stabilized an economy that was on the verge of collapsing. Because we were importing rice, maize, everything, sugar. Now we can afford to give the people relief food without having to import that relief food. And I want to tell the member for Kajiado North and others, all of us here, watch this space. This country will indeed change. We will live in a country where people can live without having to die out of drought. Lastly, we are the budget-making house. The budget is coming. For the next financial year, a supplementary budget is also on its way to this House. It is not for you to stand here and tell, oh, we hope they will put money. It is not anybody to put. It is you as a member of parliament. If you really have the concerns of the people you represent in Kajiado, come and make sure that during the budget making process, you have appropriated enough money to give to the Ministry for ASAL or the State Department for ASAL to be able to provide not just relief food for human beings, but also to make sure you do not lose livestock. And I'm happy because I had an engagement as I listened to people speak here. I was on phone with the minister, who fortunately is a former member of this House, the Honorable Ruko. And he has assured me, and indeed, he will be appearing here, Honorable Speaker, that is why I came down to assure you as a House. The Honorable CS Ruko, we will be inviting him to come and update this House on measures the government has taken to alleviate the suffering of people, including to stem the rising losses of livestock, whether it's camels, whether it's goats, sheep, and cattle. Because as somebody has alluded to here, even cattle suffer during droughts, and we must alleviate even the suffering of our animals, including our wildlife in our parks. Because when there is no water, when it's not raining, even our wildlife in the parks needs water, and it's earning resources for us. Speaker.
I think we have another two. Yes, Honorable Farah Malim, please, you may proceed. Just giving him a chance because he had been waiting for me to take the chair so he can speak. Then we'll come to member for Dagoretti. Yeah. Honorable Mwenje, I know you had shown interest. Honorable Eva. So let's try and make it 2 minutes.
Honorable.
We have enough time for all of you.
Madam Speaker.
Including you, Honorable Ounda and Honorable Makali.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank very much the honourable mover of this motion and all the members who have contributed. The MP for Kajiado not included. Madam Speaker, we have a problem. It's not for lack of I want the majority leader to listen to this. Majority leader. Madam Speaker, protect me from KJ, the majority leader.
Is required to pay attention.
I want you to listen, majority leader. The MP for Manyata should not keep you busy. It's not for lack of. Yes. Yeah, inform me.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and my apologies because I got indulged by the member for Manyata on drought-related issues, and I wanted to inform the Honorable Farah that the member for Manyata, I was informing the member of Manyata that before he was born, there was a DO who stole relief food. Yes. A DO who was charged with taking care of people during a time of drought like this. Yes. That DO then rose to be a deputy president who was impeached. So I was only telling the member for Manyata, that DO that stole relief food, you know him.
Thank you for the information. Madam Speaker, Honorable the MP for Manyata, you'll have your moment. Madam Speaker, let me take my moment.
We'll give you a chance, member for Manyata.
Honorable Majority Leader, it's not for lack of goodwill from the government to try to put in resources for this drought. It's the issue of how those resources are used. For example, you talk about special programs. Special programs is there. It's for life-saving human lives. When you're dealing with livestock, there's a State Department for livestock. For God's sake. That money was allocated to the State Department for livestock, and within 24 hours, it was changed and brought again to special programs. At that time, the State Department for Livestock had already started the procurement of 1 million bales of hay in Makweni. And the trucks were on the way. The trucks were ready to move that so that livestock is saved. You know what? When that was changed, brought back to what they call special programs, all they did is that they took 4 vehicles, 4 truck and trailers to Mandera. That's it. The 1 million bales of hay is sitting in Makweni. This money is not going to be used, the 1 billion shillings that was set aside. And I want the minister to hear this. I want the deputy president to hear this. I want our president to hear this. It's not because of the lack of goodwill. It's the intention. It's the intention. By now, livestock would have been saved everywhere. Within 24 hours, we were going to have 1 million bales all over the country where livestock is affected. We were going to have money available in the boreholes so that the water can be trucked from the boreholes into the interior where the animals have already gone there in search of hay. Because animals die because they go for hay for half a day or 2 days and then they come back for the water. They die on the track. But if you take the hay itself, or rather you take the water to where the animals are having the hay, or they're having the grass, or they're having the vegetation, they will not die. And for us to be able to deal with this thing, there's an expert department called the Livestock Department. It's a State Department. Why are we not using them? I'll tell you why we're not using them. Something has got to be done about corruption in this country. I don't think we've even used the 100 million shillings out of that billion which was set aside now. And not less than 20% of the livestock is already dead. Because for you to save livestock, you must rush in with water. You must rush in with hay. The transport is available. The hay is available in the country. Even the animal feeds. I am purchasing now 150 tons from people who make animal feeds in Madeira. And you cannot believe it, 2 kilograms of that can make a difference between whether the animal dies or not. 150 tons is 150,000 kilograms. Imagine how many animals you can save as a result of that. We're asking for a declaration of a state of emergency so that the military and all government vehicles, tankers, water boozers, all of them could be put on the road to make sure that we save our livestock. We save our livestock. Madam Speaker, it's not just intentions that are good enough. Action has to be seen. We are not seeing action. We are not seeing action. Off-tech. I remember what was called the livestock marketing division used to go to these places, go and buy all those animals which are about to die, move them all and bring them to the Agricultural Development Corporation Medical Farms in here, fatten them and make billions, hundreds of millions out of it. But save the livestock owners. Give them something for them to be able to keep on taking care of the balance of their livestock. We don't have that. Nobody is doing any off-tech right now. Nobody's trying to save the livestock. So we have a problem. We have a problem. It's an emergency, and I want this parliament to see. Somebody said that members of parliament should travel around to see what's happening. I agree with that. Members of parliament, our National Assembly members of parliament care about the four corners of this country. And when I see everybody talking about, when I see what the majority leader is saying, talking from his own heart, I see KJ. I even see the MP for Kajiado North, people think he's playing politics, but for once, I've seen him talk from his heart. We need to save. We belong to one country. If your finger is sick and paining you, the head will pain you. Everybody, the eyes will pain you. We cannot have one part of the country dying and the other part of the country living. No. We can't have a half dead and half living nation. We need to move with the speed. And I want the majority leader to communicate this, convey this to His Excellency, the Deputy President Kindiki, because he's the one who put together all those donor community, government departments, all of them, and I attended that breakfast meeting in his own house there. For God's sake, make sure that this hay goes to the livestock there so that we don't lose any more livestock. Any more livestock. Make sure you put on a full scale all the companies that are making animal feed so that we can take that fortified fortified animal feed that has the capacity to even revive emaciated cows and camels and goats and sheep. Once they're given that for 2 kilos or 3 kilos, it makes all the difference. It won't cost as much. I'm 100% sure it's going to cost us less than the billion shillings that was set aside. It's just a question of prudently using this and the resources going to where our mouth is. Save the livestock and save the livestock owners. We do have sufficient relief food to save the Kenyans. Nobody's going to die of hunger. Nobody's going to die, but the livestock is going to perish. We don't want the wild livestock to perish and then we have poverty all over. We don't want that to happen. So I'm depending on my majority leader, the able majority leader, one Kimani Ichung'wah. With all the respect we have for you, make sure this information gets to the powers that be this evening.
Honorable KJ.
Madam Speaker, I must thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this very important motion. And we must thank the Honorable Farah Yusuf Mohammed for bringing to the floor of the House such a matter of great national concern, Madam Speaker. And from the outset, Madam Speaker, it must be said that this conversation cannot be domiciled just in the plains and the deserts of northern Kenya. Madam Speaker, when we have a situation of national emergency like we're talking about, it affects even those who are city dwellers, Madam Speaker. We ought to remind ourselves that when foods come from the farms, when the foods come from the rural areas, they end up in places where they are feeding people who do not even have shambas, Madam Speaker. So that when we speak about a crisis situation in the country, it affects all Kenyans, up to and including those who are living in the city, Madam Speaker. And so I must thank Honorable Farah Yusuf Mohammed for bringing this to the floor of the House so that we may be able to discuss the situation as is, not only in northern Kenya, but in this country, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, it is clear and it has been observed that reduced yields and livestock losses have significantly diminished the household food supplies, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, these repeated drought cycles have been wiping out years of investment, so that that which is hit is not only the current stock in the farms, but Mr. Speaker, it must be noted that these are wiping out entire years of investment. But most importantly, Mr. Speaker, it also speaks to the topic of social stability. That, Mr. Speaker, when we have competition on scarce water and even feeding resources, they lead to conflicts between communities because, as it has been said very well, a hungry man is an angry man. So this parliament is rightly in its place to address the issues that have been brought by the Honorable Farah Yusuf Mohammed and to take the conversation further, even beyond the emergency. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, it must be said that this year, even as we are meeting and facing such a crisis, we also should count what is accruing from good decisions that have been made in the recent past, Mr. Speaker. That it is this government that decided in its own motion that it is going to revolutionize agriculture and farming and food production, and the results are showing, Mr. Speaker, that what we are seeing happening in places like Galana Kulalu are well explaining why this time around, Mr. Speaker, the situation has not gotten to a place of loss of lives, Mr. Speaker. And so it is important to now look forward and see what needs to happen, Mr. Speaker. And to my mind, and to the aid of the honorable member who brought this to the floor of the House, I think there is a solution here in scaling up and fast-tracking emergency food and water interventions to those who are affected. And this is a matter of national emergency, should be attended to promptly, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, the acceleration of the drilling and rehabilitation and solarization of boreholes in these affected areas, Mr. Speaker, so that this water is available not only for humans, but also for the animals. Mr. Speaker, the expansion of the cash transfers, the programs that protect the vulnerable households, needs to be stepped up in these areas, Mr. Speaker, so that it is of help to those who are affected. Finally, Mr. Speaker, as a solution, it must be important for this House to start conversing about school feeding in our schools, Mr. Speaker. The plans that were previously in place for school feeding were totally out of date, Mr. Speaker. And we must take constituencies like the Goreti South constituency and see what is happening in the food and the school feeding program that can be emulated across the country, and affordably so, with resources that this country can afford, rather than giving these funds to charlatan agencies that disappear with these emergency monies and with nothing to show on the ground. Each and every single member of parliament in this House is able, and it has been proven, is able to put up a school feeding program that is not only affordable, but offers nutritious food to the learners, as we have done in the Goreti South constituency from the year 20, I would imagine, from 2 years before the last election up to date, a program that...
No, you have had your bites, Honorable. And given that this motion was actually given a time frame, it was supposed to end at 6:10. Looking up on our watches, you notice that we are already doing 6:14. And therefore, I'm only giving one chance, and that's to Eve Obara, 2 minutes, after which we stop and move back to the order paper. Proceed, Eve Obara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And let me add my voice to support the motion by my member from Wajir. Mr. Speaker, as much as we empathize with the situation in the northeastern Kenya, Mr. Speaker, we are aware that this is not the first time. And over the years, this has been happening year in, year out, when we have drought and disaster of a similar nature. Mr. Speaker, this is a time when we appreciate the role of social media, because it has made it possible for us to see real time what is happening to our colleagues and our country in the northern Kenya. Mr. Speaker, there is an agency called Kenya National Drought Management Authority that was set up in this country. Mr. Speaker, the mandate of the authority was that the agency is responsible for coordinating and implementing measures for disaster management in the country. Mr. Speaker, the question therefore is, what has the authority done since it was set up? Mr. Speaker, we'd like to know what kind of strategies did they put in place to mitigate similar problems that we now have. Mr. Speaker, it's about time that maybe, because this has been a perennial problem, it's about time, Mr. Speaker, that we actually summon the CS for Labor, I think this is where it falls under, and the CEO of this authority, so that they can tell us what is the problem and what kind of measures have they put in place over the years. Mr. Speaker, this cannot be a talk shop where we come and ask for disaster, declaring a disaster. In 2023, we also declared a disaster, and nothing has been done because the problem continues. We must start holding CEOs or officers to account for the jobs that they've been given to do. Thank you very much, and once again, I support the motion. Thank you.
Very well, honorable members. I know the interest was very overwhelming. If I were on the floor, I would really also would have been interested. But then the time set out for this adjournment motion is actually done, and therefore we have to go back to the order paper. And allow me then to call out for the next order.
Order number 11, motion. Consideration of the Privileges and Immunities, the Global Center for Adaptation Order 2025.
The chair of the Delegated Legislation Committee had actually indicated to us that is attending another important matter concerning the House, and therefore that matter will be pended until the next session. Move to the next order.
Order number 12, the National Cohesion and Integration Bill, National Assembly Bill number 74 of 2023.
The chairperson, Committee on National Cohesion and Integration, is in the House. Mheshimiwa Nzengu, you are doing it?
Doing it, yes.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the National Cohesion and Integration Bill, National Assembly Bills number 74 of 2023, be read a second time. By way of introduction, Mr. Speaker, this bill aims to repeal the National Cohesion and Integration Act, Cap 7N. The National Cohesion and Integration Act, Cap 7N, was enacted as a direct response to the post-election violence that rocked the country in 2007 and early 2008. The violence heightened deep ethnic tensions and inequalities, as well as the failure of state institutions to manage diversity and enforce law and order. There was initiated a reform agenda aimed at addressing the root causes of the conflict, one of which was ethnic discrimination and incitement. As part of this, Parliament enacted the National Cohesion and Integration Act number 12 of 2008 in September 2008. The National Cohesion and Integration Act is being repealed because it was introduced prior to the Constitution of 2010. The primary objective of this bill is to ensure alignment with the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, sir, I now seek to highlight the provisions contained in this bill. Honorable Speaker, the bill aims to align its provisions with the present constitutional dispensation and structure of government by giving effect to the Articles 10 and Article 27 of the Constitution on the promotion of national unity and non-discrimination. Honorable Speaker, the bill provides for the establishment of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, comprising of a chairperson and 8 other members nominated by the President for the appointment and approved by the National Assembly, who are to serve for a 3-year term and are eligible for one additional 3-year term. Honorable Speaker, the bill makes provision for functions of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission to develop policies for the promotion of national values and principles of governance. The second function is to promote equal access and enjoyment by persons of different ethnic, racial, or social origins to services and facilities provided by the government and private entities. Honorable Speaker, additionally, the bill stipulates for the headquarters of the Commission to be in Nairobi, but mandate the Commission to establish 9 regional offices in the country. The importance of having various branches is to ensure that its services are accessible to all parts of the country. Honorable Speaker, the bill also addresses the issue of ethnic discrimination. It gives instances when a person is considered to discriminate against another, whether directly or indirectly. Such instances include, for example, if on ethnic grounds the person treats another person less favorably than he or she would treat another person. It also arises if a person applies to another person a requirement or a condition which would apply to persons of another ethnic group, but the person cannot show to be justifiable irrespective of the color, race, nationality, or ethnic or national origins of the person to whom it is applied, and it is to be to the detriment of the person because that person cannot comply with it. Honorable Speaker, the bill also highlights issues on discrimination in employment. It requires every public entity to ensure representation of the diversity of people of Kenya in the employment of staff and to afford adequate and equal opportunities for appointment, training, and promotion at all levels of public service to members of all ethnic groups. It bars public entity from recruiting or having in its employment more than 1/5 of its staff from the same ethnic community. It further prohibits an employer or a potential employer or their representatives from discriminating against another person in arrangements made for the purpose of determining who should be offered the employment and in the terms that the employer offers the employment. Honorable Speaker, in addition to the outlined expectation, the bill further promotes affirmative action by encouraging employment of individuals from underrepresented ethnic groups in sectors where their cultural identity, heritage, or lived experience is essential to the authenticity and effectiveness of the work. This includes roles in cultural entertainment, artistic expression, and the provisions of culturally responsive personal services. The bill affirms that such measures do not constitute discrimination, but are instead necessary steps toward achieving a substantive equity and inclusion within the workforce. Honorable Speaker, further, the bill addresses the issues of discrimination in access to and distribution of resources. It mandates that as far as practical, public resources should be distributed equitably and geographically, taking into account Kenya's diversity, population distribution, and poverty index. Honorable Speaker, it is worth noting that the bill also addresses the issue of hate speech. It highlights actions that amount to hate speech and makes it an offense if the person intends to stir up ethnic hatred or having regard to all other circumstances, ethnic hatred is likely to be stirred up. Those actions are where a person uses threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior or displays any written material that publishes or posts or distributes material in print, electronic, or social media, presents or directs the performance of a play to the public, distributes, shows, and plays a recording of visual images, or produces, or directs a program which is threatening, abusive, or uses insulting words or behavior. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the bill states persons who may make complaints to the Commission. A person acting in their own interest, a person acting on behalf of another person who cannot act in their own name, a person acting as a member of a group or class of persons, a person acting in the public interest, or an association acting in the interest of one or more of its members. Further, a complaint may be made by or against an individual, a body of persons, whether corporate or unincorporated, a public or private organization, the government, or a specific body or officer of the government. The bill provides for the manner of lodging complaint, which may be oral or in writing. Where a complaint is made orally, the bill mandates the Commission to cause the complaint to be reduced into writing. The complaint is to be in such a form. Honorable Speaker, the committee received submissions through oral presentation and written memoranda from the following institutions: the Executive Office of the President, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, the Office of the Attorney General, the National Gender and Equality Commission, the National Police Service, the Judicial Service Commission, and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. Honorable Speaker, I wish to highlight that pursuant to Article 118 of the Constitution and the National Assembly Standing Order number 127, the committee undertook public participation as contained in its report. Based on the submissions received, the committee noted that there is need to incorporate peace building and peace building projects in the bill. The committee will propose amendments of various clauses in the bill to incorporate peace building. Honorable Speaker, the committee will propose an amendment to empower the Commission with the authority to sanction or take appropriate action against witnesses who fail to comply with its summons. This is intended to enhance the Commission's effectiveness in executing its mandate. Honorable Speaker, after reviewing the bill and stakeholder submission, the committee finds that while the bill provides clarity in transition of certain aspects, there is a need to amend the bill to ensure effective implementation if enacted. For this reason, the committee recommends that the House approve the bill with amendments. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I wish to assure the honourable members that the proposals in the bill comply with the provisions of the Constitution and the standing orders. The bill will not only promote national unity, but also promote values and principles of public service set out under Article 232 of the Constitution. Finally, I wish to commend the Select Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity for its diligent work in reviewing and this vital legislation. Honourable Speaker, I urge the Assembly to consider the findings and support the committee's recommendation to approve the bill with amendments as the committee will propose during Committee of the Whole House. Honourable Speaker, I wanted Honourable Ivo Barra to second, but she seems to be busy. So, Honourable Speaker, I beg to move and call upon Honourable Ivo Barra to second.
Honourable Ivo Barra.
I second. Thank you.
Very well, honourable members. I do propose the question that the National Cohesion and Integration Bill, National Assembly Bill number 74 of 2023, be now read a second time. We can see you very well, economist. That's Honourable Makalimulu.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I want to support the proposed amendments to the National Integration and Cohesion Act that have led to the bill in the House. I've listened to the mover, Honourable Speaker, and quite a number of amendments have been proposed. But I think as I support those amendments, Honourable Speaker, the committee has said they will be proposing some amendments, and I hope what I will be saying is what they will be proposing. Honourable Speaker, we've interacted with this commission a number of times. We have also seen their work in this country. And what is very frustrating, Honourable Speaker, is that it seems to be a commission which can talk but can't take action. Why am I saying that, Honourable Speaker? Honourable Speaker, I remember in one of their reports, which was tabled in this House, the commission pointed out clearly that when you look at the civil service and the composition of the personnel in the civil service, in terms of regional balancing and tribal balancing, that about 3 tribes in this country were taking almost all the positions in the civil service. And my expectation would have been that with that kind of observation, Honourable Speaker, that we should have seen drastic measures to ensure that those communities which are not represented well in the civil service find their slots in the civil service. Over time, Honourable Speaker, I don't think that position has changed. How I wish that the amendments which have been proposed by the committee are amendments which are going to ensure that the commission can actually take action on their reports. Because they have so many reports which are all over the place, but I don't think implementation of those reports has been done effectively, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, at one point, the Kitui County leadership did meet this commission, matters security in our area. We seem to have some conflict between ourselves and the River County. And we agreed on a very clear roadmap on what needs to be done, Honourable Speaker. One of which was clear demarcation of the 2 counties by putting beacons on the border so that we know which is the border for Kitui and which is the border for Tana River. That was last year, Honourable Speaker. Up to now, Honourable Speaker, the agreed roadmap has not been implemented. It's only one item out of that agreed roadmap, which was actually hiring of police reservists, Honourable Speaker. The other items, including, Honorable Speaker, where our own governor has constructed police posts, police stations along the border, and they can't be occupied because Tana River claims those police stations are in their land, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, because of that, what is happening? Our people are experiencing a lot of insecurity, where people have been killed, where, Honorable Speaker, people have left their homes to go and build quarters within their own county. And to me, the solution to this issue should have been this commission, the National Integration and Cohesion Commission, because they have been given the mandate. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm hoping that as we move to the future, Honorable Speaker, we have seen politicians like you and me make very statements which are very divisive in this country. Listening to the mover, he has talked about people who seem to promote division in the country are their candidates. But, Honorable Speaker, how many times have you seen politicians on platforms saying things which are actually very divisive in this country? And they walk scot-free, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, I think now we have a chance as a House to ensure that this commission does their work as expected by Kenyans. So that when I take a mic, Honorable Speaker, and I'm talking publicly, I know my limits. Otherwise, the commission should be there to come immediately and act on me if I go against this particular bill we are amending, Honorable Speaker. So I would want the committee that as you look at, because that will be coming at the level of that reading, Honorable Speaker, we want to see very robust amendments to this act so that this amendment, once passed by this House, will have a commission which can actually address the challenges Kenyans are facing. And I will single out about 3 of them. The first one is the issue of employment in the civil service. We want every Kenyan to feel a sense of belonging. Many times, Honorable Speaker, I've said here that anytime we are approving appointments by the head of state, Honorable Speaker, I've asked, the names you see there, Honorable Speaker, it's always there's no regional balancing. And I've asked, has anybody sat and looked at the totality of these issues, Honorable Speaker? Has anybody sat and looked at the totality of this commission to say what is the proportion of each of these regions in these commissions? I don't think that has been done. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, we have the marginalized groups in this country who also need their slots in this public service. We have just been discussing about drought, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you cannot have a united country when some people are dying of famine and others have access food. And there is no clear strategy on how to move food from one area to the other. We have been talking about drought in this country, Honorable Speaker, since I was born. And even before I was born, I used to talk to my grandfather, Honorable Speaker, and I would ask my grandfather, when were you born? And the only thing he could remember is I was born when there was this drought or when there was this famine. Because we are not recording, Honorable Speaker. Which means this thing has been there for long. It is self-defeating, Honorable Speaker, with all the technology, with all the knowledge we have, that we can't plan well. We have early warning signs, Honorable Speaker, where you can know, by this, possibly next year, there will be a drought. And despite all this information, Honorable Speaker, we are not using it. So this commission has a lot of work to do. And how I wish, Honorable Speaker, this House can fast track the amendments so that very soon we have an act of parliament which will enable this commission to act. I always symbolize my friend, Kobia. You know, being a religious person, Honorable Speaker, anytime you interact with him, the heart is willing to do what you are telling him, but it looks like the hands are tied because of the law. So I think we need to release his hands so that he can combine his religion together with what he believes in to help this country achieve what we want to achieve. Otherwise, I will be supporting these amendments, and I will look at the proposed amendment by the committee. If they don't meet my expectations in terms of to ensure that the commission has the force to act, Honorable Speaker, we will be making further amendments so that we make this commission be a commission which can bite. Currently, it's been assessed by Kenyans as a toothless commission. We don't want to remain in that state. I submit, Honorable Speaker, and I support. Thank you.
Very well. Honorable members, I can see very many honorable members here, but the list here is very short. Are we having the Honorable Beatrice Kimei in the House? And then could we then have the Honorable Timothy Toroitich? Is in the House, Honorable Timothy?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very, very important bill. That is a National Cohesion and Integration Bill of 2023. Honorable Speaker, first of all, I am impressed because I was looking whether there was a clause on repeal of the previous 2008 legislation. Honorable Speaker, I have noted with a lot of satisfaction that clause 85 of this bill provides that this bill repeals Act number 12 of 2008, which was the National Cohesion and Integration Act of 2008. Honorable Speaker, however, having looked at this bill in its entirety, I do not see, the move of the motion has not clearly highlighted the difference between the 2008 legislation and this current bill. Because, Honorable Speaker, under the former law, under the current legislation, which this bill seeks to repeal, we had a problem that the commission currently established under the National Commission and Integration Act of 2008, that the current law does not have an enforcement mechanism. Honorable Speaker, I have looked at this bill. I have not seen that issue being addressed where the commission has been given teeth to bite. It looks to me as if it is still a toothless bulldog. And I think when we come and when we retire and look at the substance of this bill, we should look for a way of having this bill. We must have the bill contain some provisions on enforcement, because as it looks, it doesn't provide any provisions on enforcement. Number two, Honorable Speaker, there has been a perception in this country that there has been selective prosecutions or selective accusations because of political patronage. I believe, Honorable Speaker, this is a country that we should be a cohesive nation. From every corner of this country, we must be able to be bound together as a nation that, and the law must apply without any element of, it should not be there should be no selective application of the law. Honorable Speaker, this is an issue that this bill must be able to bring out clearly. And I believe that when it comes to second reading or the committee of the whole, we should be able to bring amendments to ensure that we avoid perceived prosecution in terms of enforcement of this bill. So, Honorable Speaker, but I've seen certain clauses, Honorable Speaker, that if enforced properly, then we shall be able to realize the purpose of this bill. Honorable Speaker, Clause 7 of the bill talks about powers of the Commission. Clause 7 says the Commission shall have power to summon witnesses for the purpose of giving evidence or for the production of books, plans, or other documents. Honorable Speaker, this is similar to Article 125 of the Constitution, which gives this House powers similar to that of the High Court to summon witnesses to call for evidence. But, Honorable Speaker, what happens if a witness is summoned by NCIC pursuant to Clause 7 of the bill and that witness does not appear? This bill, Honorable Speaker, does not address that issue. So, Honorable Speaker, when it comes to the committee of the whole, we shall be able to look substantively at the contents of this bill so that if, for example, in this House, Honorable Speaker, if a witness does not appear before a committee, the committee has powers to issue fines up to 500,000 for a witness who has failed to appear before a committee. Honorable Speaker, this bill does not provide sanctions for a person who does not appear before NCAC Commission in case of an alleged offense. Honorable Speaker, I have also looked at Clause 41 of the bill, which is very progressive. It talks about discrimination in employment and says a public entity shall not recruit or have its employment more than 1/5 of its staff from the same ethnic community. Honorable Speaker, this is progressive because we must have national integration in terms of employment. We should have equal opportunity employment in this country all across, irrespective of the community or the tribe that an individual comes from. So, Honorable Speaker, this one also enforces Article 27 of our Constitution on non-discrimination. Honorable Speaker, this clause is also very progressive because it provides for penalties in case an individual does not comply with this particular provision. Honorable Speaker, if you look at Article 41(5), it says that a person who contravenes this section commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 5 million shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or to both. So, Honorable Speaker, this will be able to guide employers that when recruiting, when employing, they should be able to, to ensure that anybody or that institution must be able to ensure that at least 1/5 of its staff is not from the same ethnic community. So, Honorable Speaker, if further you look at, I have, in terms of Clause 47 of the bill, in terms of ethnic or racial contempt, Honorable Speaker, that provision is very progressive. It provides that a person who uses threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior or displays any written material, publishes, posts, or distributes material in print, electronic, or social media, presents or directs the performance of a play to the public, distributes, shows, or plays a recording visual images, that person, Honorable Speaker, commits an offense under this section and shall be liable to a fine not exceeding 1 million shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or to both. So, Honorable Speaker, this provision is also progressive because it provides for penalties. Honorable Speaker, the only thing that I wish to raise is I hope this bill has not been brought because we are going to an election. Honorable Speaker, we have a very progressive constitution in this country that provides under Article 33 on the freedom of expression. Honorable Speaker, we must protect that freedom. The freedom that we have a whole chapter in our constitution on the Bill of Rights. And therefore, this bill must not also be overreaching so that we limit the freedom of expression under this current bill that we are seeking to propose. Honorable Speaker, this bill should guard Kenyans, all Kenyans, and must never protect powerful individuals in government. It must serve us as a nation. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this bill insofar as protecting Kenya as a nation to avoid situations whereby individuals are reckless. There are individuals who make statements, Honorable Speaker, that are prejudicial to the unity of our country, statements that are volatile, statements that are likely to divide the country. Honorable Speaker, such persons must be arrested. They must be summoned to appear before our tribunals, to appear before quasi-judicial bodies, to appear in our courts to answer those charges if the statements are likely to divide Kenyans along ethnic lines. Honorable Speaker, I support.
Perfect. Could we have the Honorable Lokuton speak on this?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank this House for introducing the amendment to this bill. Mr. Speaker, this bill was introduced in 2007 and 8. It was born out of the 2007 and 8 pro-election violence, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, it was a noble idea that it was started because it gives hope to many Kenyans that now we'll be able to live peacefully with each other, not hurling insults or even use social media to provoke others. Mr. Speaker, 18 years later, NSIC has very little to show for it, Mr. Speaker, because we still have hate speeches going on, Mr. Speaker, that continue to pollute and poison our airwaves, Mr. Speaker. And as my colleague said, that the NSIC issues directives, prosecutions, but they have no teeth to bite. So, Mr. Speaker, I would love to see the amendments done if they actually address that. Mr. Speaker, on a more important issue is the issue of cohesiveness itself, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the marginalized people of northern Kenya and other parts of this country feel disadvantaged more than ever before. Mr. Speaker, this bill was their hope. This bill was going to save them from the discrimination they're facing from the government and other people in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the irony of it all is that the very people this commission was supposed to help they are more excluded today than before the NSIC was born. Mr. Speaker, let me read the record of what the NSIC said and itself recently, that its latest audit of ethnic representation in public universities, NSIC found that out of the 27,596 employees, there was not a single individual from 10 Kenyan communities and members of this country, Mr. Speaker, from the El Molo, from the Konso, from the Oromo, from the Rendile, from the Makonde, and many other tribes, Mr. Speaker, ethnic groups, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this was what NSIC was made for, to change and make sure that people are not marginalized in this country. Mr. Speaker, the NSIC itself has given us those ethnic groups that they say are not employed, and they've not done any effort to rectify their mistakes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Commission did nothing about it, apart from holding press conferences, Mr. Speaker, reports, conferences, and then move on to their next agenda. Mr. Speaker, I hope that these amendments in this bill will help save the situation across the public institutions, or even worse, Mr. Speaker. The same NSIC report revealed that about 70% of all jobs in state corporations are held by 5 or 6 ethnic groups. Mr. Speaker, NSIC never addressed that. As a matter of fact, it goes worse. Mr. Speaker, the marginalized people of this country would long to be included in the development of Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, if NSIC, with its amendments coming up, are able to address that issue, then we will have something to talk about, because I know at the moment NSIC has failed Kenyans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A bit of support.
The Honorable Rosa Buyu.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity. to actually stand and support the committee on the timely intervention in making sure that they uphold the constitution of the country. Mr. Speaker, the Kenyan constitution is the supreme law of this land, and any law must abide or align itself with that constitution. So I want to congratulate the committee for actually seeing it fit that they want to bring these amendments to ensure that the National Cohesion and Integration Commission bill would actually align itself to that, to our constitution. Mr. Speaker, our constitution talks about all Kenyans being equal, regardless of sex, regardless of age, regardless of color, regardless of tribe. And what this amendment seeks to do is to just enhance what indeed is in the constitution. Mr. Speaker, the amendment recognizes the fact that currently we don't have equality in employment opportunities. Mr. Speaker, that is something that has really created a lot of conflict and a lot of ill feeling amongst Kenyans who feel that they are qualified for an opportunity, but sometimes they're discriminated against because they don't come from a particular tribe or a particular section of this country. Mr. Speaker, for that reason, I want to support this amendment because it does not matter where you come from in this country. It does not matter what sex you are in this country. If you have that qualification, you must be given equal opportunity in terms of consideration to be employed. Mr. Speaker, it also addresses resource distribution in the country. We know that many parts of this country feel alienated and discriminated against. Mr. Speaker, you go to the northern part of this country, sometimes there's drought and you cannot imagine what you see on our television screens. Animals dying, people dying of hunger, yet in other parts of the country, there's bonus and there's a lot of food, Mr. Speaker, and people seem to be prospering when other parts of the country, people seem to be to actually be dying. Mr. Speaker, this will actually ensure that the country or a lot of effort is put in ensuring that whatever is plentiful in any part of this country is actually shared amongst all Kenyans so that we all indeed do feel like Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, affirmative action is one of the things that is well addressed in our current constitution. Mr. Speaker, we know of Article 27 that clearly states that in any opportunity or in any appointed position, there must not be discrimination of sexes. If, for example, you have an opportunity to employ 3 people, you can have 2 people being male and 1 being a woman. Or you can have 2 people being female and 1 being a man. In that way, we have inclusion of all sexes within any appointive or elective position. But, Mr. Speaker, long after the Constitution was promulgated in 2010, that article has still not been operationalized. Mr. Speaker, the onus was given to this Parliament to actually come up with a way or a manner or a policy in which the Article 27 could be operationalized. But Parliament has failed in that. Mr. Speaker, if we do have this amendment, the focus will be on Parliament, that it must make sure that any discrimination against any sex or any part of that Constitution that has not been operationalized to ensure that every Kenyan is equal to the other will be addressed. Mr. Speaker, for that reason, I support this amendment. Mr. Speaker, the amendment also talks about hate speech. We are now going into the election period, and we know what is happening in this country. Mr. Speaker, the politicians have actually been reckless in their utterances in disregard of the fact that they could actually take this country into, they could actually run down this country. Mr. Speaker,
Rosa,
yes, Mr. Speaker.
who are the politicians?
Mr. Speaker, I'm one of the politicians.
Proceed.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. So that including Rosa Buyu, we've actually become irresponsible in our utterances. We forget that we have the responsibility to ensure that we uphold the peace and unity of this country. But Rosa or any other politician will carelessly get up and use abusive language or say things that are discriminatory to a certain community. Mr. Speaker, I hope that with this amendment, that will be addressed. Because, Mr. Speaker, if it's not addressed, we will not wait for 2027 to have elections. Because what is happening in the country now, Mr. Speaker, is something that should not be encouraged. Mr. Speaker, for that reason, I actually support this amendment. Mr. Speaker, my only problem is this amendment does not give the Commission teeth. This Commission has existed for a long time, but it has become a talk show. Because they will meet communities, they will actually summon people who are charged with hate speech, but they do nothing after that. So I hope that when we do come to effecting this bill, we will have addressed address the issue of giving teeth to this commission. Because if it has teeth, then politicians or anybody else who wants to speak ill or speak hateful against one another will actually be brought to book. And because of that, it will act as a deterrent so that we all align ourselves to being one unified country, one peaceful country. But without that, Mr. Speaker, this commission will still be a talk shop and a toothless commission. So I would urge this committee that when we do move, Mr. Speaker, we must give teeth to this committee to ensure that it does what it's supposed to do. Because, Mr. Speaker, we have gone to many countries, but there's no country like home. Kenya still remains to be the best country to be in. I, for one, know that I have no other home. And it's my duty, even as a politician and a leader of this country, to ensure that I uphold the peace and unity of this country. And this is one commission that can help Kenya remain united. Mr. Speaker, I support the amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, the Honorable Janet Sitine.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move the following motion, that this House adopts the report of the public.
Order, Honorable Janet. My expectation is that you are contributing on the motion that is on the floor, and that is the National Cohesion and Integration Bill. But if you have another matter that will be moving later, that may come later.
Actually move this motion. So I thought you have.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then, there being no any further interest in this one, I'll call upon the mover to reply. Mover.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank those members who have gotten an opportunity to contribute to the motion, and appreciate the comments that have been made. Just to clarify, Honorable Speaker, that in my moving notes, I indicated that we are going to give the Commission the teeth through an amendment that is going to be introduced by the committee. So members who are interested in bringing the amendments in the Committee of the Whole House, that has already been taken over by the committee. So most of the issues that members have brought up.
Could you speak to it so that they also know the limits to which they will go? Now that you are saying and indicating that you have already done that.
Honorable Speaker, on my item number 18, although I never numbered them, I read that the committee will propose an amendment to empower the Commission with the authority to sanction and take appropriate action against witnesses who fail to comply with the summons. This is intended to enhance the committee's effectiveness in executing its mandate. So there are a number of amendments that we have proposed that are going to be included even as we do the Committee of the Whole House. So, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply.
Very well. Next order. I will defer putting of the question to the next session. Next order.
Order number 13, motion, 7th report on the audited accounts of the National Government Constituencies Development Fund Board for the financial years 2016, 2017 to 2021, 2022.
The chairperson Decentralized Funds Accounts Committee, I'm being informed is not here, is involved in another important matter concerning this House, and therefore we shall defer that matter to the next session. Next order.
Order number 14, motion, consideration of a petition regarding discrimination by the Teacher Service Commission on career progression guidelines for special needs education teachers in Kenya.
Equally, that's moved to the next session because the chairperson, is he in the House? Or finally, very well. You may proceed, Chairperson, Committee on Public Petitions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move the following motion, that this House adopts the report of the Public Petitions Committee on Public Petitions number 76 of 2023 regarding discrimination by the Teacher Service Commission on career progression guidelines for special needs education teachers in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, Public Petition number 76 of 2023, presented by the Honorable Deputy Speaker on behalf of Mr. Roberts Njunuha, Wekesa, and other teachers employed by the Teachers Service Commission to teach learners with disabilities, raise serious concerns regarding the non-alignment of their career progression with the 2018 Career Progression Guideline, CBG. The petition has prayed that the National Assembly, through the Public Petitions Committee, to intervene and revert to the provisions of the Career Progression Guidelines of 2018 applicable to the special needs education institutions and backdate the implementation date. Honorable Speaker, the committee undertook a comprehensive examination of the petition, and we received oral and written submissions from various stakeholders, including the petitioner, Mr. Robert Junuka Wekesa, and representatives of affected SNE teachers. 2, the Teachers Service Commission. 3, the Ministry of Public Service, Performance and Delivery Management. Honorable Speaker, having considered all submissions and issues for determination, the committee made several key observations and recommendations. Committee observations. The committee observed that the issue of career progression for SNE teachers is a matter of administrative inconsistency and delayed implementation, characterized by the job titles of SNE teachers in the payroll. The job titles of SNE teachers in the payroll differ from those in the career progression guidelines. For instance, a teacher designated as a senior teacher 2 in the payroll should correctly be titled primary teacher 2 in brackets SNE as per the CBG. This inconsistency has contributed to the confusion and delayed the teachers' rightful recognition and progression within their rightful roles. The Teachers Service Commission had not completed the alignment of the grading structure for SNE teachers with the career progression guidelines of 2018. The delay in alignment was caused by the government's integrated payroll system, managed by the State Department for Public Service, which has been undergoing reconfiguration to facilitate migration to a new payroll system. Despite the lack of change in the job group title for SNE teachers in the payroll, the Commission ensured that teachers received their salaries commensurate with their designation. Despite the mismatch between the titles on the 2018 career progression guidelines and those in the payroll, it did not adversely affect their salaries or career advancement. It impacted on other benefits, including allowances related to the scale. The committee key recommendations was, in light of the observation made, the committee recommended that within 6 months of the adoption of this report by the House, the Teachers Service Commission, in collaboration with the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs, align the grades for the job titles in the payroll to reflect those in the career progression guidelines of 2018, specific to the SNE teachers, and backdates the implementation of the same to 2017 to ensure that the SNE teachers get their rightful benefits accrued since the rollout of the new payroll system. Honorable Speaker, I wish to express the committee's gratitude to the petitioners, the Ministry for the invaluable input which enabled the committee to compile this report. I also extend my sincere appreciation to your office and the office of the clerk of the National Assembly. I further thank the honorable members of the Public Petitions Committee for their diligent participation in the deliberation, as well as the committee secretariat for their professional support in preparing this report. Honorable Speaker, I now call upon Honorable Phyllis Bartow to second this motion as I urge the House to adopt the report. And I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Could you indicate that you move and call upon?
And Honorable Speaker, I therefore move this motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and ask Honorable Bartow to second it.
Honorable Bartow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second the motion. Now that it's a very important motion, it will cure the discrimination of teachers with special needs. A teacher is a teacher at whatever time, and they are trained, and they should be treated equally at all times because they play the same role. They transmit knowledge just like any other teacher. So I second the motion.
Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that this House adopts the report of the Public Petitions Committee on its consideration of the Public Petition number 76 of 2023 regarding discrimination by the Teacher Service Commission on career progression guidelines for special needs education teachers in Kenya, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 19th November 2025. Yes, what is it, Honorable Rosa Guyo?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise on Standing Order 35 to raise a question on the quorum, required quorum, to allow us to proceed, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, Sergeant at Arms, ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.